To go in the opening quarter. Sanders pressure out for the fake and throws another interception. Mac Jones picked it off.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Lefty from Australia, second oldest player in college football, kicks it back there, and that punt is blocked, and Oklahoma State falls right at the 5-yard line. Gray gives a huge gift to Oklahoma State.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
For the Panthers, Pickett, a very good runner. Don't sleep on those legs. Oh, he faked the slide. Sauce time. Pickett. Did that work? Touchdown, Pitt.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Third down and goal now. And Prescott wide open. No problem. Terrence Steele on the tackle eligible.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go. Thursday afternoon, and we will be locked and loaded, including one of our guests in an hour, Steve Smith, now with the Detroit Tigers organization. He's their pitching coach coordinator, and he's a former Baylor coach, was at Baylor for a long, long time, took him to a College World Series. It's interesting because, of course, Mitch Thompson yesterday, a former assistant who was fired by Steve Smith, was named the Baylor coach yesterday, and it was part of what might have started the transition with Baylor baseball. Steve Smith, though, yesterday on Twitter, we showed it to you, was thrilled with the hire of Mitch Thompson, and so we'll hear from him today at 4 o'clock. Chuck Cooperstein at 3:30 on many things, from college football to the U.S. Open to the NBA Finals, but also late yesterday, or I guess in the evening, the Mavericks, it seems like, stole from Houston. Now, I don't know if that's the way everybody looks at it, but just based on what I saw, a young kid averaging 19 points and 9 rebounds in Wood, and they gave up a lot of guys that weren't even a part of their main rotation. Houston gets a lot of players that can eventually help their cap, etc. To me, it looks like, and we can start a little bit with that, even though we'll get into some college football as well, it's a hell of a deal for the Mavericks, and you don't see them do that very often.
Well, I mean, one of their problems was, down low, so consistent play down low. Like if Dwight Powell went out, or that was kind of their relying on a lot of different guys that were not as consistent. So if Christian Wood can come in and produce for them, and maybe hopefully they re-sign Jalen Brunson. I know that they hope that they do. That certainly is a nice young group of people going forward. And, they got a lot of big stuff out of, Jalen Brunson. Spencer Dinwiddie was great in the playoffs, but they were just missing, that one thing. And part of that was experience. When you play the Warriors, they're so crafty, but and experience. But, yeah, I think it's a great move for them going forward.
I mean, he's a good player. I'm not going to act like he's great in that he's like some superstar that's joining the likes of Luka. He's a really good player that has potential to be, an even better player in this lineup. But I think, it's kind of like we were talking about yesterday with these different leagues and whatnot. Like, there's people that draw the line in the sand of like, you got to watch the PGA, but you can't watch LIV. It's like, well, there's some people that are just golf fans. It's like, you can watch WWE, but you can't watch any other. And it's like, no, you're just a wrestling fan. So in this case, I think it's one of those deals where there's not a winner or a loser necessarily. We try to do that with every trade. I think that Dallas got a player at a position of need. They got him for 1 year. So it's not like they're making a massive investment, that's locking them down and giving them a bad contract if he doesn't work out, like a lot of other free agents that they've signed. But he does make them better, and maybe he lasts around for a long time. And then if Houston, in their case, I've seen some people say they could have gotten more for him, but I think they got a bunch of contracts that are going to be coming off of their books pretty quickly. That'll give them some flexibility, and they got a bunch of players. So I think it's helpful for both teams, and you don't necessarily have to go one's the winner and one's the loser. I think they both actually did get better, not only in the near future, but it's given them both flexibility to be, better in the far future as well.
And the Mavericks haven't done much in the draft. That's just kind of been what they've done. Cooperstein, I saw a couple of tweets on him. He gets tired of hearing about that because, again, the Mavericks have been looking at different things, and they won't have a pick in the first round. They traded it to Houston. He'll join us at 3:30 on many things, also even college football. Baylor and Arkansas. Baylor's non-conference schedule as of now will include Gonzaga, Arkansas, and Marquette that we know of, along with whoever else they play, plus the Big 12. They'll play Arkansas in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Baylor in this particular challenge. Last year they got thumped by Alabama pretty badly. I think they're like 7-2 or so. So that's one of the games that they'll have in non-conference. Iowa State, Missouri, Kansas at Kentucky. That's a staple. Texas plays at Tennessee. That's a staple with Rick Barnes. Also, Ole Miss at Oklahoma State. Alabama at OU. Florida at Kansas State, Texas Tech at LSU, and Auburn plays at West Virginia, and I think TCU at Mississippi State. So those are the SEC Big 12 Challenge, the teams the Big 12 has right now to play against the 10 teams in the SEC.
Yeah, it's a good list. The top 5 today is the top 5 games of this matchup, and if you're not watching, I'll spoil number 1 for you right now. It's Baylor versus Arkansas. Is a great. I mean, that's going to be one of the best matchups of the entire college basketball season.
Yeah, no, I think it is. Arkansas, remember, at the end of last year, they were on fire, and, of course, the game with Gonzaga was added to the schedule, plus what they already have with that the Big East and Big 12 matchup with Marquette and also Shaka Smart. I have some really sad news in a way. It's sad news because young man from Marlin High School, he is a blue-chip player, Darian Gullett. He's being recruited by everybody, Alabama, Texas. I mean, you name somebody, they want him, A&M. He's from Marlin. They had a great run last year. Confirmed now that he has torn his ACL. This happened a week or 2 or 3 ago after the state track meet, and there was a second opinion, and it's now confirmed that Darian Gullett has, in fact, torn his ACL and will not play during the 2022 high school football season. He can play almost anywhere he wants. Tough blow for Marlin. They're still loaded and talented. They made a run to the semifinals last year, so a tough way for them to find out he will not be a part of this year. All the teams that were recruiting him apparently know. Some, I would think, may not back off of him, but if they wanted him to play as a freshman, it could change their mind. Great player.
Yeah, what a bummer. I mean, that's a bummer all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's a part of the deal, and it's the worst, I think, for Marlin. But, I mean, I think Darian Gullett, as far as a player, is going to be just fine. I think that he'll, obviously have a tough time, I'm sure, when the Friday night lights get going and he's got to sit there to the side and not be able to take part. I'm sure that will be very tough for him. We all have those things in life that are tough challenges, but as you said, it's not as though all those scholarships are going to evaporate, and it's not based on what we know, anything that's going to prevent him from playing football again. So, sucks. That's a bad break, but fortunately it's not as bad as it could have potentially been. But still, yeah, the timing is just absolutely awful. And he is a great player, as you mentioned, and he's not just getting recruited. He's got a bunch of big boys that are recruiting him. So that's unfortunate. But he'll bounce back.
Mitch Thompson, of course, hired yesterday by Baylor. The press conference will be next week. We mentioned Steve Smith, former Baylor baseball coach, will join us in an hour. One note on college baseball's World Series. There's a couple of notes. This is from theathletic.com. 8 teams at the College Baseball World Series have a combined 100 appearances. Texas with 38 to lead the way. Texas also has 6 national titles among the 8. Oklahoma, by the way, the only team in the field that has won a national championship besides Stanford and UT. They have been to Omaha 11 times, won the title in 1951 and 1994. Stanford's been 18 times and won 3 national titles. The College World Series in Omaha will start, of course, coming up tomorrow up in Omaha, Nebraska.
I don't know what that feeling is like.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to bring it up, but Florida State's been there 47 times or so, and been really good, number one seed on a handful of occasions. By the way, it didn't take MCC, McLennan Community College, long to replace Mitch Thompson. At least that was the report from the school, as the president will recommend assistant coach Tyler Johnson to be their next head coach. They have a board of trustees meeting on June 23rd, so MCC reacts quickly to Mitch Thompson taking the job at Baylor. So good for Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not going to be joining the Baylor staff, right? So, you start to pick and choose who's probably going to be going with Mitch Thompson or sticking around doing whatever. Yeah, it's good for MCC to act quickly. They've got a national championship caliber program, so you don't want to just take your time and sit on your hands to make a move. You want to try to keep that momentum going with what Mitch Thompson's built. And so by making a quick move, I think you've done that. And I think obviously everybody over there is probably somewhat disappointed, but not in any negative kind of way. They're all very excited for Mitch Thompson.
U.S. Open golf tournament is underway. First round, the second wave is on the course right now. Rory McIlroy, who won last week in Canada, is 3 under par. David Lingmerth. Why do I bring him up, guys?
Well, Micah Fugit's his caddy.
We had Micah Fugit, a caddy on the PGA Tour. He's caddying for Lingmerth this week at the old course in Massachusetts. He's tied at the top of the leaderboard in the clubhouse after a 3 under par round today. Also, Morikawa, Rahm, and Zalatoris and Homa are all 1 under in the clubhouse. I think, yeah, they're all in. Berger, Matsuyama even in. Finau, Scheffler are in. Or no, they're on the course midway at even par. Schauffele's in at even par. Right now, Phil Mickelson is 5 over par. Through 7 holes, he had a double bogey on number 6, so he's got to get a birdie or two, and it's not an easy course to have that happen. Of course, the second round, they still have the second round. Spieth and Cantley 2 over. We have our teams. There's 5 of us, and it's the first time Emery Winter's been a part of the draft. Had a heck of a team. He might end up with the top 3 golfers before the end of the weekend, but Abraham Answer withdrew before the first round began early this morning. Not sure exactly what was wrong with him, but he's out. And so his team now is disqualified. And in it, not quite as bad as the year that Paul picked the heavy favorite, Dustin Johnson, to be a part of our teams that we were picking 3, 4 years, 5 years ago. And he fell down a flight of stairs.
On Wednesday, like 15 minutes after I picked him, and fell down a flight of stairs. Did not withdraw, but I mean, was it the same?
It kind of affected him as well. Also, and Scotty B, the Baylor King, mentioned in this, Sue Bird, one of the greats in the WNBA history, is retiring from the game after this current WNBA season. All right, we want to hear from you on the chat room today throughout the day. Thank you for watching or listening to us. The text line is open. Any questions, comments you may have, we are pretty open until 3:30 at 254-339-1122. In the studio today, it is Garrett Ross running the mothership. Faith Lynch is back with a sunburn in her face. Jack McKenzie's here, and he's going to have to do a challenge with our basketball hoop. And then also Emery Winter is here as well. Anything else I missed today that was on? Leroy Burrell. I mean, he's a legend at the University of Houston, Olympian, track star. He was their track coach. He has taken the job as the head track coach at Auburn. And Juan on the chat room said, please don't remind us about it. And I'm sorry I did, because that's a big story. His son passed away about a year ago. And he was committed to stay at Houston the rest of his life, but kind of changed it, maybe a new scenery. So he's going to Auburn to be a part of the Auburn Tigers track and field team as their head coach. He could, Carl Lewis, Leroy Burrell, among others that were a part of that. FIFA, did they ever make the announcement yet, Jack? 4 o'clock today, FIFA will announce, Paul. Did you know that? The 2026 World Cup sites. I'm the one that brought it up when I got to the studio, and some here who are soccer aficionados or allegedly did not really remember.
All right, I'm going to make some predictions. Since it's USA, Canada, Mexico,
Houston,
that Mexico City and Toronto will be in that. This is just a big swing on my part.
Okay, that's a huge gamble.
That's a big gamble. I would think that in Texas, Houston, and Dallas have a really good opportunity to be in that mix. Chicago, L.A.
So Washington, D.C. usually is part of that at times?
But I wouldn't be surprised to see like Seattle. Seattle's a big soccer city. So.
All right. Yeah. What's the name of the Cincinnati? Columbus is I don't know if Columbus would host anything World Cup or FIFA, but not World Cup, but FIFA. No, it is the World Cup. I'm sorry, FIFA.
Y'all, we are so not soccer fans, and it's very obvious
they
right
have
now.
They have a great
Louise.
soccer following in Columbus, Ohio.
But
I was at their stadium.
Yeah, and they have the Columbus Crew, the MLS team they've had for 20-something years. Yeah, but I think Kansas City already has been confirmed. I think there was a report last night. So, yeah, I think that they're already in the mix. And, I mean, name a bunch of the big cities. They're likely to be in the mix for those games. So we'll be able to see that by the time that, before we leave the airways. Maybe I'll have that in time for Off the Radar. We'll see.
All right, Craig's Off the Radar at 4:45. Paul has his top 5 at the end of the show at 5:55 as well. We'll update you on the USO. Matt Fitzpatrick, by the way, just went 3 under par. He's on the course right now as well. 3:15 is the time. 254-339-1122. Warriors or Celtics? Can the Warriors seal it tonight? Game 6 tonight.
I think the Celtics win tonight.
Force Game 7 back in Frisco.
It's kind of what's been their MO the entire playoffs, to get their back against the wall. And, this has been a pretty entertaining finals. That third quarter, the halfway through the third quarter the other night, I don't know if I've ever seen a team fight all the way back only to stop doing it and then lose as badly as they did in the Celtics. So
there haven't been many games throughout the NBA playoffs that have been classics. Not that you're not going to see too many classics because of what's on the line, but there haven't really been many games where someone's hit a shot at the end of the game or some sort of dramatic finish. There have been comebacks, but I haven't really seen many games throughout from the first round to now. And there's only 1 or 2 games left where you go, God, remember Game 6? Like even the Mavericks and Warriors games, there was nothing really classic about any of them other than the fact they bludgeoned each other, it seems like, throughout the entire play. Now, Phoenix and Dallas, of course, hammered Phoenix, which was classic because they were the number 1 seed. But other than that, I don't remember too many games that you're like, wow, remember that one in the NBA playoffs this year. All right, when we come back, 254-339-1122, 254-339-1122, Sikkim 365 Radio.
Payments for qualified buyers at 2.9% for 72 with 5,000 down cash or trade. TTL Extra. See deal for details. Step up your ride at Richard Carr's Summer Savings Event. Find summer savings like a 2018 GMC Sierra SLT, only $432 a month, or a 2017 Buick Encore for $183 a month, or GMC Acadia for only $280 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. We pay top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always our goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the city of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Some news when it comes to the NCAA that is recent. In fact, today, just a few minutes ago, an hour ago, the Transformation Committee agreed on a set of numerous recommendations, forwarding to the Division I Board of Directors for review and approval as well. And one of them, Craig, you want to read it? I got it in front of me. Among the recommendations are adjustments to transfer rules and updates to the Division I infractions process to promote time-efficient outcomes, focuses the time and resources of all involved on a modernized set of shared principles, rules, and holds accountable those who are directly involved in rule breaking while minimizing the impact on student athletes who are not involved. The transfer recommendations, intending to stabilize the transfer environment, acquire additional accountability for schools that receive transfer student athletes and provide student athletes with a window of time to enter the portal each year in order to be eligible to compete for the following year. Some of the changes to the infractions process would include incentivizing, that same word, cooperation of all parties, additional investigative rules, and more flexible within confidentiality rules. Sounds like a lot of words.
They said a lot to not give really many details at all.
Yep. So it sounds like to translate, the first thing is when they punish a school, they need to punish the people involved, and not 5 years later when perhaps the coach has been fired, all the players involved have graduated or transferred. Especially now with the transfer portal, people can leave so quickly, then what's the point of, some of these guys getting punished, and 5 years later after your long investigation revealed exactly what you knew on day one, that you punish a school, well, then that just doesn't seem to make any sense, especially if the school's done something to correct it, like fire the coach or suspend the player or expel the player that violated anything. Then, what are you doing, more than that over that? And then the second one is, yes, there'll be transfer windows, and the transfer windows are because, there just need to be some kind of
all right, let's do our own
box to put that in.
When a player is playing who's in a fall semester sport, and some of them cross over, we know, like basketball, and football can kind of cross into early January. But of any of the fall sports, other than men's basketball and women's basketball, what should be the timeline in the transfer portal to you? Before the end of the school year in May or June? Should it be because is one of the issues not that you can't transfer and not that you shouldn't be able to transfer, but should they button up that hole that is maybe a 30-day window or a 60-day window rather than what seems to be almost a wide open window till May 1st?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, football is complicated by that there's spring football, and then there's even more, roster movement there. So I don't even know. I just think there need to be, I think there should need to be tighter windows so that you have to make your decision, or you have to do it in the fall. I would say, that way, one of the things they said in this report was, so kind of like the Treston Ebner, John Lovett fiasco that happened over a weekend one time where they both said they were going to the transfer portal, and eventually John Lovett did transfer, but they were mad about their use in the offense, and jumping in the transfer portal was just a knee-jerk reaction. If you can stop that by putting windows on it, that you can't go, in the season, you can't go in the transfer portal. But once the regular season's over, you can go in the transfer portal, and then once spring football's over, you can go in the transfer portal.
But Joey McGuire transferred during the season.
Yeah,
so that you'll – yeah, I don't know, because if a player needs to get in the portal, Craig, and get in early and enter it, knowing that other schools are looking at who may leave them or who they need, can we curtail when they're allowed to leave?
I don't know. I know one thing. Whoever had to write that press release that basically said nothing, I feel sorry for them, because they had to have proofread that afterwards and be like, what did I actually translate and communicate here? Because it's hard to tell. Basically, there's a bunch of paragraphs to say, hey, they're looking at some stuff and they're going to do some stuff. But, there's no real specifics here. As far as a transfer window, I don't think I would be very keen if I was a coach on guys having the ability to leave a week or two before the season. I think that you would have to, at that point, kind of know. Now, I understand there might be a quarterback competition scenario where they don't name a guy till late. So we can go through every scenario, and there's going to be something that can complicate it. But, ultimately you have to decide on things. I think that you should be able to know who's on your football team or who's out a couple weeks before the season. If a guy needs to, wait until 3 days before the year starts, then I'm sorry, you're not going to be eligible to play anywhere, and obviously you wouldn't be because it's 3 days before the season, but there needs to be some kind of a blockade there where it doesn't directly affect the teams, where it helps both parties, but I don't think somebody needs to be, negatively damaged as the season's starting by somebody being able to jump in the transfer portal. I think if you can secure yourself from that. So, hey, if you're going to leave, you're going to bolt, you got a couple weeks you got to be able to tell us before. You can't say the week of the game kind of a thing.
Well, let me ask you this. You don't think we'll ever see and I don't know it because I have not paid that much attention to it. Maybe I should. Could you ever see a player in the semester of the season of enter the transfer portal and play for somebody else?
No, you can't do that.
So that's one thing.
But I'm talking about for the if you have a quarterback competition or something like that, and you know who's on your roster, you want to know who's on your roster. I don't think you should be surprised that a quarterback bolts the week before the season starts. But again, there's competitions and guys don't name people till late, so there's going to be a problem with everything. But you know what? I'd like to have a Domino's pizza at 3:00 in the morning. But guess what? There's hours that they're open and hours that they're closed. So that's how I'm looking at this. There's certain hours that they're open for business, and there's certain hours that they're closed, just like anything else. And what those hours are, that's what everybody's going to argue over. But I think you should know who's on your team or who's not. And there's going to be exceptions to that. Some dude gets fed up, like the Treston Ebner example that you mentioned that was right before the season started. There's going to be things like that happen, I'm sure, or guys in the middle of the year. But as best you can, to just know who's on your freaking team. I don't think that's asking all that much, Well,
yeah, and look, a lot of the guys who jump into the transfer portal in the middle of the year haven't played all that much. So, you're not, that's why they're jumping in the transfer portal. But, yeah, you shouldn't be able to, I lost the quarterback competition. The first game is next week. I'm out.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's happening.
We need a break, but Charlie Brewer did that at Utah.
Yeah. But look, I'll say this for everybody. Is Spencer Rattler the most look-at-me guy going into a school that we had a reality show about him, can grin and bear it and make it through the season after he loses his job? So can you.
Yes.
When we come back, Chuck Cooperstein on many things he's watching, I'm sure, the U.S. Open, the NBA Finals, the Mavericks trade, plus also much to do when it comes to college football as well. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza, marcos.com. Right now, the Pepperoni Magnifico. Enjoy a large Magnifico pizza, Pepperoni Magnifico for $9.99. Use the code word PEPMAG, PEPMAG. Order now online. It's just $9.99 with that code. Also, unlimited large 2-topping pizzas, $8.99 each. Order now. Use the code HOT2GO. Also, $3 off large specialty pizzas. Order now. The special is special 3. That's the code word. You can get 5 locations of Marco's Pizza in Central Texas around the Waco area. Hewitt, Woodway, Belmead, Robinson, and China Spring. Over 1,000 stores nationwide. For a lot of you on our YouTube channel, there's probably one or more near you. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, but as knowledgeable, insightful on numerous sports as you'll find anywhere in America, and always great to have him on our show. Chuck Cooperstein joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Coop, you watching the Open in the Country Club at Brookline?
I am.
What are your thoughts about this course? What are your thoughts? You're an historian on golf and various courses.
Well, I think it's the layout is great. It's obviously in fantastic shape. What I guess one of the things that's always bothered me about the country club is that they have 27 holes there, and they carve out 18 holes of the 27 to use for the tournament. They don't. It's not. It doesn't necessarily go in order. And if you look at historically, there have been like the layout is and the rotation of the holes is not the same for every tournament. Like one year, you might have the 11th hole, and then the next time they've held the event, that 11th hole is now the 13th hole. And I don't know that that's necessarily what architects have in mind when they design golf courses. It's just and when you're looking at the history of the tournament and just how or an event and how shots are played and holes are played and everything building to something, it's totally different on the same golf course. And I guess I'm just unnerved by that a little bit. Having said that, again, it's in unbelievable shape. And, as a par 70, it's not overly long, but they have put a premium on keeping it in play. You just can't hit it in the rough and, do what Bryson did at Winged Foot a couple of years ago. Although, in fairness, Bryson was 6 under, I think, that year in 2020, and he won by 6. So it was, that was pretty fair ultimately and pretty hard. Here, I think it's, you got a lot of people, I think, that are going to have a chance to be in the mix here on Sunday. I think it's going to be a stampede here before it's all said and done.
Chuck, are you? What are your thoughts on the live guys that are in this? And Phil in particular is having a really rough day, but just that whole thing, intersecting now at a major.
Well, I think the tour has basically gotten stale. And I think that's what the players have been trying to tell the tour for a long time. In fact, Greg Norman, tried to do this 30 years ago and then basically got snuffed out as the tour began the process of, World Golf Championships and then, the FedEx Cup and things like, and trying to, add the requisite money, if you will, but not change the overall structure of the tour. And I think what Phil and Greg and a lot of the other guys are saying is, hey, in every other sport, stars sell. Why are we not doing that in this sport? Why are we not taking care of our stars to make sure that they play as often as they can play? Now, again, the tour to me has completely overextended itself in being a year-round venture. Starting in mid-October, or actually in September after the FedEx Championship, after the Tour Championship, and then like 2 weeks later, the tour starts all over again. There's no downtime. There should be. Every other sport has a real season. Why doesn't the PGA Tour have a real season? And I think what LIV does is allow these guys to basically play a little golf, have a life, make a lot of money, and at the same time bring a different element into the game. I'm not sure that I'm sold on 54 holes. I think 72 holes is the championship distance, and you should play that. But I love the concept of the team concept. I don't know that the way they did it last week in London is the way it's ultimately going to be, but the tour needs to look at different things. A lot of different things, because basically, 1 week it's 72 holes in Hartford. The next week it's 72 holes in Dallas. The next week it's 72 holes in Greensboro. It's all the same.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Well, Chuck, we know the Mavs won't be exactly the same next year. Trade with the Rockets. Christian Wood, now a member, or will be soon officially a member of the Mavericks. Mavericks in Boban, Marquise Chris, Trey Burke, Sterling Brown, and the number 26 pick. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard not to be excited for the Mavericks. The thing that they were very much lacking in the playoffs was consistent scoring and rebound from their five. There were the occasional games where Maxey would, go off and hit his 3-pointers, and but they never really were able to rebound the ball. They got hammered pretty much in every series. And Christian Wood, if nothing else, can rebound the ball. The ball finds him. And, he's not a great defender. He's not a great rim protector, which I think is something that, Maverick fans would like to have seen from whatever change they were going to make at that position. But, this is frankly a very low risk gamble. Guy's got 1 year left on his contract, a little over $14 million. He's had some issues. He certainly had some issues last year in Houston. Got suspended for a game after being pulled out of the game, but he generally was pretty healthy, and he averaged 18 and 10. I mean, those guys do not grow on trees in the NBA. So from that standpoint, I mean, it's hard to really argue bringing him in, and certainly the price was not overbearing when you consider that basically the Mavericks gave up the bottom 4 players on their roster in order to make the deal work, and the number 26 pick, which I think is really what Houston wanted more than anything else. But if you're the Mavericks, Christian Wood and his production is far superior than anything you were going to get out of the number 26 pick next year.
Coop, when you heard this trade was done, what was your initial reaction?
Whoa, how about that?
Yeah.
How about that? And I mean, talk about Nico Harrison not wasting any time and getting down to business. What our season ended, May the 26th? So it was the 27th that he had the exit interview with us down at the Mavericks practice facility, and basically less than 4 weeks later, he's got himself a deal. He's got himself a deal, and a big deal. And it shows again that he's got a plan and he's willing to act on it. And I think he's been given the freedom to do what he sees this team needs to do in order to get it done. And, listen, the first trade with Dinwiddie and Bertans for Porzingis, on the surface, it didn't look like a great trade. It turned out to be a tremendous trade for the Mavericks. And now this one looks to be a pretty great trade on the surface. A lot of a treasure for trash deal kind of type of deal. I mean, when do you do those types of deals and get away with it? But we'll first off, we'll see if Christian Wood can be as effective coming here and playing with Luka as Spencer Dinwiddie was, and I have to believe that he will. But it just impresses me that there's no inertia in the Mavericks front office, and frankly, Maverick fans who have oftentimes taken to various realms of media to rip the Mavericks for a lack of activity or a bad front office or anything like that. They haven't given this guy and this front office the benefit of the doubt. Their lens is completely colored by what's happened in the past. And frankly, at this point, what's happened in the past is irrelevant. Doesn't matter anymore because those people are making the decisions now. There's one guy this guy's making the decisions. And at least so far, you have to be impressed with what he's done. Now, do we know ultimately, can he actually draft a player? We're not going to know for a while about that. He didn't draft one last year. He doesn't have a draft pick this year. I guess theoretically he could buy a second rounder next week. They don't have a first round pick next year because that goes to the Knicks to complete the Porzingis trade. So it may not be until 2024, and in his fourth full or his fourth draft, if you will, that he will finally draft a first round player. And we get to see just, okay, how does he value, college talent or, G League Ignite talent or international talent or anything like that before they have actually been able to establish themselves in the NBA.
Well, and Chuck, if he doesn't get to make a first-round draft pick for a couple of years, most Mavericks fans are hoping that it's a pick that's way back in the draft anyway over the next couple of years, because aren't these moves that he's making so that they at least repeat where they finished this season at and go beyond?
Absolutely. You know, they would love to have the 26th pick in the draft again next year, or send that to New York, or better yet, have the 30th pick and send it to New York. You know, as a champion. Yes, there's no question that the Mavericks are willing to gamble that what they're doing now is better than what they would have gotten in the draft. Where they were picking. Now, you know, there may be some years where that's not the best strategy. And, you know, listen, there are plenty of examples of guys picked, you know, in the 25 to 35 range who wind up being really great pros. But if you're the Mavericks and this opportunity presents itself, I don't see, you know, why you would ever hesitate to take the proven versus the unproven. You know, scouts and draft analysts and things like that, they always talk about upside, but, you know, potential means you haven't done it yet. You know, on some level, Christian Wood has done it, even if he has not been with good teams. And I think, you know, this is sort of the intangible that's in play. Well, there were two intangibles for him. One, he's been on bad teams, and he's put up great numbers on bad teams. Now, we're about to find out if his numbers can translate to something good. The same thing was said about Andrew Wiggins, wasn't it? They put up some big numbers in Minnesota, right? But they didn't lead him anywhere. But now he's in Golden State, and he's got a different expectation that's attached to him. And look at not only just how he's played here in the finals, which has been great, but how he played really all year long. With that team fully healthy, you know, he's an absolutely integral part of what they're doing, and one win away from winning a championship. So, you know, I don't know if Christian Wood is you know, the 2023 version of Tyson Chandler. I mean, there are a lot of similarities when it comes to that. I mean, but like Chandler, he comes in on the final year of his contract. He's got everything to play for, and he's going to be playing with a really good team, and obviously playing with a superstar player who can likely bring the best out of him. So why wouldn't he go all out and do it? And I think that's what the Mavericks are counting on.
Coop, if you could be a college football commissioner for a day, what are two or three things besides 20? What would you want to tackle, at least the first couple of topics or rules or regulations or what?
Well, first things first, get the playoff done. You're gonna sit, commissioners, all of you. You're gonna sit in a room. I don't care. It could be in Grapevine, Texas. It could be in the South End, Indiana. I don't care. You're gonna sit in a room, and you're not coming out until you have a plan, and preferably a 12-team plan. I think the SEC and actually the working group that brought the proposal forth last year, they got it right. I do think they absolutely got it right. And then to that end, you make January 1st the last day of the season. January 1st is the biggest day in college football. It's the biggest games in college football should be played on that day, if not the single biggest game. And frankly, if the Rose Bowl doesn't want to come along with it, then screw them and just leave them in the dust. And you go off and you go do what you got to do. It's your job to sell the game of football. It's not your job to go sell a private organization's parade in the sunset. I mean, really, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
I can't agree more. Golly, thank you so much.
I'm going to get a tattoo of you on my back.
Yes,
my gosh. It's just.
Yeah,
that was.
We've had Brando on a lot, and he talks about how the college football has basically almost lost the month of December to the NFL.
They have.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, seriously, every sport builds to its finish, except for college football, which goes in the tank to its finish. You know, it's just mind blowing that the second most popular sport in America, and without question it is, after the NFL, could act so in a 180-degree manner to what the NFL does. You would, there's a reason why the NFL does what it does and is the entity that it is. I don't think that college presidents and college athletic directors should look at them as the bogeyman. They should look at them as the model. Yes, this is what we'll do. This, and if we are indeed a business entity, which I think all of us can agree that college football is, can we all agree on that?
Yep.
Okay. If that's the case, then we need to maximize what we do. And we don't need to apologize to some third party bowl operator, or frankly some third party, meaning a television network, ESPN, to do what is right. To do what is right for the game. And I know, listen, Tim and I talk all the time, and Tim is so right on the concept of a Division I or FBS commissioner, and that football has to act in its interest, just as basketball needs a commissioner to act in its interests. The sports, they may be part of the same institutions, but the sports are entirely different and have entirely different issues. So this is what college sports has to be able to do. And I know we've gone beyond simply college football here, but I mean, solve the playoff, end the season on January 1st, come to a crescendo. If they solve that problem, they solve a lot of problems. And then obviously, look, you've got the NIL stuff. It's very much out of control. And, you hope that they, as the football entity, can put in rules that, restore really, I think, what everybody had in mind for NIL when it came into existence, to take care of the people who are already on campus and not necessarily use it as the recruiting tool. I mean, I was a part of the 30 for 30 on SMU back in 1987. I mean, SMU would be lauded for everything it did in putting that team together with all the cars and money that they passed out. They had the payroll to meet, and they did. And you know what? Now every school in Division I and FBS has that too.
Chuck, you mentioned getting everything done on January 1st. That eliminates 3-4 weeks of downtime from the teams. And I would think that, not in every regard, but in some regards, that also eliminate blowouts, because I think sometimes you get blowouts in these postseason games because one coach knows how to navigate those 3 weeks a little bit better, and the other staff kind of maybe paralysis by analysis and gets to the game and everything kind of falls apart on them. Like if it's regular, if you just keep on a regular schedule, I think the games would be better.
No, I mean, there's truth, I think, in what you say, but I also think that there's still we've only had the college football playoffs since 2014.
Right. So
basically, we've only had 16 games, 16 semifinal games, right, from 2014 to 2021. So we've had 16 semifinal games. Not that I'm a math guy, because I'm really not a math and statistical guy. I mean, I like numbers occasionally, but I don't go deep into the weeds on them. But I do think that the math people would tell you that is not enough of a sample to prove one way or another. That just because there is the 3 or 4 weeks off, that automatically portends blowouts. Because styles make fights, and in many cases. What we've had are just bad matchups as much as anything else, maybe as much as whether or not a coach is capable of navigating the 3 weeks off and how you do that. But again, the larger issue for college football is, once we've had conference championship Saturday, and then, to a lesser degree, Army Navy the following week, I mean, you've got downtime. And that should not be the case. And just along those lines, if they're not going to end on January 1st and they're going to insist on, playing a championship game after that, I mean, given where the NFL is right now, I mean, I don't know how you play that game on a Monday night. I mean, the college game gets absolutely no benefit from playing on Monday, no media buildup for it whatsoever, because the NFL is just coming off its weekend, and everything that's happening on Monday, on the game day, people are talking about what happened in the NFL over the weekend.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And even now, the NFL, there's now a Monday night game the first weekend, right? For the first weekend after January 1st, the way the schedule breaks down. So I don't even know what the college football playoff is going to do with that. But if I was the college football playoff, I'd play it on a Thursday night. I'd absolutely go play it on a Thursday night if they have to do that after January 1st.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No.
On Thursday night.
Yeah. So I'm done.
I was going to tell you the chat room. I like this guy. Chuck has earned a follower. Spot on. Yes, he's legit. Definitely. Chuck is bringing the fire 100%. Preach Coop. I meant Chuck is 100% right. Yes, Chuck. On and on. Chuck for 2024. Running for president. Hey, Coop.
I'm not that dumb.
Hey,
I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb.
By the way, we've been thinking about you. How you doing, man? Everything okay?
Everything's good. Everything's really good. Thank you. And just, there have been so many people who've reached out, following the passing of my mom. And it's been extremely heartening. And, that people do care. So, thank you. And thank everybody for doing what they've done, because it definitely has made it easier. Not that it wasn't unexpected, because it was, but it doesn't necessarily make it a whole lot easier.
Good luck, man. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it. Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks, and as good. And someone even mentioned he used to host a talk show, of course, in Dallas, and he was on in Philadelphia. As knowledgeable. He's the younger version of a Norm Hitchcock type when it comes to knowing all the various sports. We love and appreciate the time. All right, when we come back, Steve Smith, former Baylor coach. Mitch Thompson's now the new Baylor coach. Steve Smith and Mitch Thompson were on staff together for a long, long time. And then about a decade ago, they split. Mitch Thompson was fired. He moved on. He then became very successful at MCC. Steve Smith, the head coach at Baylor for a long time. Now with the Detroit Tigers organization, he joins us next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. 1943, they opened their doors, and they're as good as they've ever been. And they've been good for decades, since 1943. Locations in Waco and Bryan, building the brand new facility to be bigger, better, faster, and stronger here in Waco. But they will never lose the core of what they have. One, great product. They'll just have more of it. Pipe, steel, metal. Help you understand if you want to build a metal building. Help you with a contractor, a suggestion if you need one. And then on top of that, you have great product, and they also are just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal when it comes to customer service. You can have great customer service, but your product has to be pretty good. You could have a restaurant that has great customer service. They make you feel great, but if the food's not very good, you're not coming back again. At Pioneer Steel and Pipe, they have great metal, pipe, and steel. They are always ahead of the curve, and they will also deliver whatever you order, commercial or real estate, deliver and unload it if you need them to. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, pioneerboys.com.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfect pizza. Bob Mock has owned Marco's Pizza franchises since 2013 and has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in the Waco area, in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Order at marcos.com to make any moment better. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
19-year-old true freshman quarterback stepping in for the injured Matt Corral and then being brought down. Bryson Jackson with the sack and the turnover on downs.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Welcome to the 4 o'clock hour. He was a longtime head coach of Baylor baseball, and they had a lot of great success, College World Series as well, and now a pitching coordinator for the Detroit Tigers of Major League Baseball. Steve Smith joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Coach, it's great to hear from you. Tell everybody kind of your role right now with the Tigers in travel or scouting or what you're doing.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's good to hear your voice. With the Tigers, I am an upper-level pitching coordinator, which means I predominantly travel to both the AA and AAA affiliate, which is AA's in Erie, Pennsylvania, and the AAA team is the legendary Toledo Mud Hens. And, that's where I go. There's some other stops as well, but primarily just oversee the implementation of what we're doing in pitcher development at both of those places. Last week, I'll tell you this, I was in Toledo, and I was scheduled to leave on Saturday morning, and on Friday, about 30 minutes before first pitch, the pitching coach there and the manager, Lloyd McClendon, both tested positive for COVID. And so I got to manage the pitching. I got to be the pitching coach at AAA Toledo last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And, and those guys were great. Obviously, you're at the AAA level, especially with us. I think all but maybe 1 or 2 of them had major league experience, and so you're dealing with a bunch of grown men, and they're there to not to make your job harder, but to really help you along. But I told them that the whole experience is like a big tease, but it was a tease, and it was like the worst kind of tease. Sometimes you get teased with something and you realize, I don't want to ever do this. And then sometimes you get teased with something and you realize how much you miss it. And that's the way it was. And so it was great, but it did leave me like I thought it would, looking for the dugout again. So I'm open. I'm open to that.
Well, yeah, and you just put out a resume. We will put it out for you with this interview as well.
Lloyd McClendon that's a blast from you said his name, Steve, and I thought of like 50 baseball cards that I have from a kid of Lloyd McClendon. I can just see it right there. What do you? I mean, we know that you and Mitch, how it ended there, but you were Smokey gave us the quote yesterday. You were so happy for him. What does it mean to you to have Mitch back at Baylor and leading that program that you guys put so many blood, sweat, and tears into?
Well, I know what it means to 18 years of players, and my feelings weren't contrived; they were sincere. But even if my feelings were contrived, he's the right guy for it, and I think in the greater interest of the program and the whole baseball family, he's the right guy for it. Now, we had, for all those years, 18 years or so, is me and him and Steve Jonigan, and Mitch deserves all the credit in the world for a lot of really good, recruiting classes. But Steve Jonigan, he's also a guy that was very, very instrumental in doing everything that we did. But I think that Mitch has clearly gone out and gotten him some great experience, done an unbelievable job at McLennan. Both of the years that I was at Auburn, we had McLennan guys. And it was really before I took that job at Auburn, which was fall of 17, that summer going into the fall of 17, that's when Mitch and I really, and the whole family, we kind of got reconnected. We all had our kids, all our boys and his girls were, they all were about the same age. They all grew up together at the ballpark, and now they were of age where they were starting to get married. And so we find ourselves at these weddings, and it just kind of pulled us together again. And I felt like when I left Waco in 17 to go to Auburn, that the Lord had blessed me by kind of tying a ribbon on that relationship and getting it mended and reconciled. And so, and that's been 5-6 years, whatever it is now, 5 years ago. So I'm happy for him. I've talked to him a number of times in the last 10 years, honestly. I shared a story yesterday, though, that it's not like things, you don't go through what he and I went through without there being some scars. And one of the things that had really stuck out to me, I've known Mitch since 1994, and I think he was probably about 28 or 29, maybe. And like to every coach, every guy I've ever worked with, I've always been Smitty. And I was always Smitty to Mitch until about 7 games into 2012. And until yesterday morning, I was Steve. And yesterday morning at 9:30, when he called me with what was going to happen, the first words that came out of his mouth were Smitty. And, I doubt he ever even thought about it, honestly. I never took it personal. But it was so noticeable to me. I doubt he even thought about it, but it's why the call yesterday morning, it's one that it just meant a lot to me. And to hear him say Smitty again meant more than anything.
I don't mind sharing this. When you said that, you shared that story, I got goosebumps. Because I remember how emotional that day was 10 years ago. Because I was in your office. And that's so damn cool what you're sharing, Steve. And for both of you, I think a lot of people will, if they didn't know that, I think they're going to be just thrilled that's the case.
Well, it is, and it's again. if I could go back and do some things differently, I would do them differently. But we don't get to do that. And, you know, it's a decision that sometimes you're in a position in leadership where you have to make a decision you don't want to make. And you seek counsel, which I did and had over several years. It wasn't a knee-jerk moment. You know, it was at the time the straw that broke the camel's back. But even in doing that, you know, I believe in family. I mean, I believe in family, and we were family. We were family. And I felt like yesterday morning when he said Smitty, we became family again. And I may be reading more in that than I should, you know, and that'll always be his call. But we were family, and I think, you know, it was up to me to find a better way. And I didn't. And, you know, I think that's why I'm glad he's where he's at. And it brings all those players together again, because, you know, that kind of thing, that separates them too. Nobody ever picked sides, and I didn't get any shots. And I mean, I'm sure he got some encouraging stuff, but it's still, you know, you're dividing your family, and I never wanted to do that. And I think now that's been, you know, thanks to Mac and the decision he made, I think that, you know, we can put that to rest and put it behind us. And Mitch is going to do what he's really wanted to do. I would say all the way back to 2008. You know, 2008 was a bit of a watershed moment that nobody really knows about. And it had to do with me being offered a job that I walked right up to the door. I mean, right up to the door and turned down. And, you know, I know that at that moment back in 2008, that he had it in his mind that if I took that job, this would be his opportunity. And I made another decision and wound up staying. And that's just something that it was a watershed moment. Not as much with him, but it did affect him for sure. But it was definitely a watershed moment within the department and the relationship there with Ian. And I mean, I can, that's for another day, but you know, that's how long I think he's wanted to be a head coach, and now he's getting that opportunity, and I'm extremely happy for him. And I think it's a great thing for Baylor.
Steve, I don't know if this is a question I should ask you, but have you been back to Baylor Ballpark since you were no longer at Baylor?
I'll be honest with you. We had a reunion of the 2012 team on the Saturday of the Texas Tech game. So that's the first time that I have officially been in the ballpark. And the only time I've officially been in the ballpark. But I did do something back, I guess it would have been in February, February. I was in town, I think, for little Raleigh Marie's maybe first birthday, I think. And at that point, I had not driven, you know, so that's, you know, almost 7 years ago. I had not been even close. And about 9:00 one night, I drove over there, and, you know, knowing that the gates would be locked, but also knowing I knew how to get in if the gates were locked. And lo and behold, the gate next to the locker room entrance is standing wide open. And I walked in pitch black dark, and I walked out and I sat down on the mound. And I thought about when I had done that in 1980, when I first transferred to Baylor. I lived in Brooks Hall, which at that time was located right where Brooks Village is now. They've torn the dorm down, but that's where, when I transferred, I lived in that was used as athletic housing some then. And back then you had to sit out a year, so I was ineligible that year when I transferred. And many nights I would go out of Brooks Hall and I would jog over to Farrell Field, and I would go sit on the mound and think and pray and sing and all kinds of stuff. You know, dreaming and hoping that I would one day pitch on that thing. And obviously I did. And obviously the whole coaching, you know, that went on there was not ever something that I ever even dreamed of or anticipated in any way. But I've been working on closure for a while, and I just need to go back over there, and I just need to have a talk with the Lord sitting on that mound again. And that's what I did. So those are the two times I've been in there. One for the reunion of that 12 team, and then that one when I just snuck in there on my own on that night. And there was enough light in there. I could see the field was in really good shape, and I missed it greatly.
Former Baylor baseball coach Steve Smith with us. He's now a part of the Detroit Tigers organization, their pitching game coordinator. Paul?
What do you think Mitch's immediate impact will be? I mean, obviously you mentioned that the old guard Baylor baseball community is thrilled, but for the guys in the future, what do you think his immediate, like right now, his first strike will be?
Recruiting. He called me last night on his way home. And I said, "How's recruiting going?" I mean, that's just what he does. That is just it. I mean, I'm not saying that's just it for him, but that's the name of the game. And he knows that. And so I think right now, my hope for him, and because I know he's, you know, there's a bunch of guys that jumped in the portal, you know, that were unhappy with how things were going and just different things within the program. So I know step one is just trying to maybe hold on to some of those guys. And I think if those guys will give him a fair shake and sit down and listen to him, I would bet on him being able to do that. Because all of the things that were good about Baylor and are still good about Baylor, and you know, but it's all about people, and he'll bring in good people around him. Some of them may be familiar, some of them may be new, but they'll be good. They'll be good people. But I think long term, it's going to be. You can't be in it as long as he's been in it, and I think it's what the reason he was so successful over at McLennan. And I'll never forget when Miss Trocum called me the day she hired Mitch over at McLennan. She had already decided that's who she wanted to offer it to, and she just wanted to run it by me before she went to her president and the board. And I told her, I said, "This will be the best hire you've ever made." I mean, this guy had been in Division I baseball for so long. And McLennan is so well positioned, you know, geographically and other ways in junior college baseball that, and believe me, this guy, you know, he knows enough people. There's going to be a bunch of guys sending him players, and they did. And you know, he's locked, he's stocked. I mean, we had him at Auburn both years I was there, and they were in the other dugouts when we were playing. So. I think that'll be and that's the reason. That's the reason you hire him. I mean, that is absolutely the reason you hire him, is to turn that thing around recruiting wise. It's going to be hard until, you know, this whole expense thing is real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just real. I know people got tired of me talking about it, but it's real. You know, you put somebody right now today, you put them on 75%. And they owe about $20,000, and that's a real thing. But that transformation committee, which I don't know if you guys have talked about that much at all, or even aware of it, but there's some really big things on the horizon, I think, within the NCAA that could take a program like Baylor I think too, he could actually do in baseball there what Scott's done in basketball if the transformation committee recommendations are adopted, and I think they will be, and I think it's probably sooner rather than later. And if that happens, it's, there'll be some ramifications throughout, college baseball through colleges. There'll be some, the separation of the haves and the have-nots will probably really come to be, because a lot of people won't be able to, or won't think they can afford, 26 fulls in baseball. But the Power Five will, the SEC will, and when the SEC does it, everybody in that league is going to do it. And I feel like the Big 12 is still going to want to do it. And you give him 26 fulls, and now all of a sudden you're getting to come to Baylor to play baseball, and they're not paying a dime. And that becomes something he can really sell.
By the way, on that transformational committee, we do discuss it. Dr. Livingstone's on it, and so
that's correct. That's exactly right.
She's on it. We mentioned a little bit about that, in fact, today. Steve, this is the first time. Mack Rhodes has been around since 2016. You weren't here when he got the job. I know you were around, but when he took over as AD, he has promoted within Michael Woodson, Michael Ford, among others. He's also reached outside the box with Matt Rule, Dave Aranda, and obviously with others as well, Nikki Collin. This is going back into the past of Baylor. And is that also something you think is kind of important to kind of reach into the back, not just to do that, but also in a way important to see him do that?
Well, I think it's important to anybody that's been part of Baylor. I think that, every time, Baylor in my 20 plus years being around it, we had to hire, we had changes in president, we had changes in AD, and usually it was on the heels of some major violation, some major issue. And so that AD and or that president was coming in almost with the mission of cleaning something up. And obviously Mac came in on the heels of, the worst one, or at least the most damaging to the university. And I just respect the heck out of the fact that he didn't throw everybody under the bus, and that there were good people there. It wasn't, the issues weren't systemic across the entire department. And a lot of times that's not the way people do it. They come in and feel like, I'm here to show you guys how to do it right. And, none of y'all here knew you're all part of the problem, and nobody can be part of the solution. And I just appreciate the fact that that's not what he's done. I also appreciate the fact that I don't think he has an agenda other than what's in the best interest of the student athlete and Baylor University. I don't think he's, on speed dial with a bunch of other people that are pushing their own agenda. And obviously I just jumped into the weeds on that one, but I just appreciate it. I've had an opportunity to speak with him now 2 or 3 times, and I just, I can't say I know him really, really well, but I know him. My read has been really good, and I think that he's been honest with me on a number of things and been incredibly gracious. That's the word I need to say. I mean, he's been super gracious to me. Going back to when we came over there for that reunion, and even in the handful of phone calls I've had with him recently, he's just been very, very gracious to me. And he doesn't owe me anything, he doesn't. And yet he's treated me with such grace and respect. It has really done a lot for me.
I wanted to go back, Coach, to the transformational committee thing. And it might have been you gave it to somebody else, but I got my hands on something you had handed to us at the radio station years ago that Ron Polk had written about. The 11.7 scholarships and like how it kind of flies in the face of everything you're trying to do as a university and promote student athletes, and how it's killing college baseball and you're losing athletes to other sports. It was really well written. But since then, I've always kind of followed and tracked what's going on there. And other states, what people may not realize, put schools like Baylor at disadvantage because in Georgia, they have a lottery scholarship program that if the baseball players have a 3.0 grade point average, then they're essentially on academic scholarship. So there's all these things that have been going on across baseball that make it non-equitable, and the full scholarships would maybe give us the sport we love so much back in the way that we deserve to see it.
Yeah, and those states that you mentioned, Georgia, well, Louisiana, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, every school in the SEC has external money that can supplement the 11 outside of the 11.7 money that's not countable towards 11.7. The only two states in the league that don't have that are Mississippi and Alabama. And there's even differences with those. One of the things that I learned while I was at Auburn, they don't even have academic aid at Auburn, and there's no discounted. They're sitting there an hour and a half from Atlanta. There's everybody going to Auburn's paying full boat, and so they are the bottom of the barrel. Then you go all the way to a school like Vanderbilt, who has an enormous endowment and a small student population, so they fund need-based aid at a level that hardly anybody can do that's playing baseball. And so we talk about it in my circles amongst coaches. I look at it as payroll. How much aid, how much, and it's happening in college football now, boys. Now you got NIL stuff. It started out cost of attendance, now it went to NIL. So this whole game that's been going on in college baseball for years, in being able to have an unlevel playing field. Well, who cared? It was just baseball. Who cared? Nobody cared. Well, now all of a sudden it's happening in college football, and everybody cares because it's college football. Okay, well, how are you going to fix that? That's what this transformation committee, I think, is really dealing with. There's some bigger issues out there that, they're not trying to fix college baseball right now. They're trying to fix the whole student athlete and the whole scholarship system and how you're funding them, because they've got legal issues if they don't. But college baseball, I think, is going to benefit from it. But the playing field in baseball has never, ever been level, not even close to it. And now it's happening in these other sports, and they're just having to recognize it.
What's it like to wear one of the great logos in baseball?
You talking about the Tigers?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to tell you the most humbling, incredible experience I've had so far is watching Alan Trammell shag balls and run the bucket. During BP or something. Alan Trammell is a Hall of Famer. He is in a Major League Hall of Fame, and I see him very frequently because he's a special assistant to the GM and the president. Matter of fact, get this. This will blow you away. So the Saturday that we did the 2012 reunion thing against Texas Tech, I didn't know it until the next Monday when I came to Toledo, Ohio, and Alan Trammell's there, and he says, "Hey, I saw you walk out on the field at Baylor the other day." Wow. He was at the ballpark all three games. Alan Trammell, Hall of Famer, was in Baylor ballpark Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the Texas Tech series. Evaluating a player. They sent him in to watch one specific guy, and he was there. And he said, I didn't even think about your connection to Baylor until I saw you walk out on the field. And I thought, here's this guy. He's just so understated, and nobody even knew it. Nobody knew they had a Hall of Famer and Alan Trammell sitting in the ballpark. I thought that was one of the coolest things. And I've enjoyed talking to him. That's like sitting in front of an encyclopedia on baseball and just listening, not just to the stories, but just to perspectives and stuff like that. That's been really enjoyable.
Steve, we have known each other a long time. I wasn't here for the longest of time. Paul's been around longer than I have, but I just always have enjoyed having a chance to sit down with you. You and I have had some emotional interviews over the years, and this one here, I mean, everyone's blowing up how excited they are to hear from you, and also your emotions and transparency as well. Because you managed those 3 games, I talked to you on the phone about a week and a half ago. It's in your blood, isn't it? That's going to be in your blood for still a long time, maybe forever?
Well, I keep telling you, I'm 61. Let's just get it out there, okay? I'm 61. I don't know what that means. I still throw the same BP. I'm in better shape physically than I was at 51, and that's a shame. But I had let too many things crawl up on my shoulders, and I just wasn't doing my job taking care of me. And the last 7 years has given me an opportunity to kind of regroup in that area, and at the same time just continue to grow in the game and grow in my understanding of people and myself. And David, a couple of nights ago, and this had zero to do with the hiring or anything. This was even maybe before that. I had the thought that every coach out there that becomes head coach, probably in every sport, but they come to a crossroads, I think, where they got a choice to make. They can either love winning or they can love the players. And we all try to do both, but you can get to the place where you have to make a choice. And I think I came to that place. I think it's why I feel so sad about the last 2 or 3 years there, is that, I think that the pressure I was putting on myself and the pressure that was being brought on me, that I didn't love the players well. I didn't love them well at all. And I think I had loved them well for probably 18 years. And I don't think I loved them very well the last 3. And it really bothers me. But at least I'm aware of it. And I do think that it has really opened my eyes to it. And you know what, when you start, I was 33 when I started, and all I knew was winning then. There weren't any former players with kids. I hadn't made any daddies yet. And so the only way to measure your success at that age was what was our record. But you get to a place where all of a sudden at some point they start coming back and you see, hey, you're doing way more than just winning games here. And you just don't want to lose that. And I feel like I'm at an age right now, and not just an age, but a number of years of experience, that I've never been more able and more prepared and to do the job than I am right now. And that's just, that's, and the Lord knows all that, because He and I've talked about it many times. and we'll just wait and see. But I'm doing my part, and I'm going to try to work hard to keep myself in shape, so that I can, if the Lord wants to put me in a coaching job again, I'm trying to make it as easy on Him as I can.
Steve, there's a lot of people that watch this show now around the country because of our college football content. And some of them probably did not know much about you, and they are blown away by what you've told us. Again, we use that word transparency, your emotions, and going back down history, and it's been fantastic. You and I talked about a week and a half ago. I'll close it with this, and I know you got to go, and we do too. You mentioned when I was on the phone with you about Baylor, they have to make sure the mission statement stays ahead of winning. And we asked Mack Rhodes that the very next week, and he absolutely went right back down the same road that you mentioned about they cannot afford to get sideways on that, and they have before.
Well, this is something else I've thought about in this last 7 years, and it's a challenge, but it's the truth. You can't have a coach at Baylor University that loves winning more than they love Baylor. And honestly, when I say love Baylor, I'm really just talking about love the Lord, for whom Baylor, embraces in its mission statement. It's who they are and their identity. It's just what they strive to be. And if you have coaches there, or even if you have, high level decision makers there who get caught up in the winning and they all of a sudden love winning, they will compromise the mission of Baylor University on that altar of winning. And I go back to 1994-95 when I first came there. Men's basketball had the worst case of academic fraud in its history. We go to 2003 and 4, and we know what all happened in men's basketball then. And then we go to 2016, and we know what happened then. And it all goes back to we love winning more than we love the mission of Baylor University. And so Mitch won't make that mistake. Mitch's faith is embedded in him. You need to talk to him more than you need to talk to me, and you need to find out some of the things he's been through in his life, and it will blow you away.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll understand just how deep his faith is. So Mac didn't make a mistake. He's going to get everything. He's going to get everything he hoped to get out of this hire, and I truly believe that.
Yeah, he shared the story, of course, with many about Nate up at Arkansas, and we mentioned that again earlier in the week. Steve, man, appreciate you so much. Good luck. Hope to see you. If you ever get back in town, don't wait till 1 o'clock in the morning and go see the ballpark. We'd love to see you there, and I hope to see you soon, too. Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Steve Smith, Baylor through and through, Baylor baseball coach for many, many years, and he's been a part of Santa Clara staff when he left. And then Auburn, Tennessee Tech, he was the head coach, and now a part of the Tigers organization. When we come back, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, and then Craig's Off the Radar, Sikkim, 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco with a 48-foot walk-in humidor loaded with incredible cigars. All the brands you'd ever want, and some you may never have heard of, but they're very, very, very good. I went in there earlier this week and I bought a couple of boxes of cigars. La Fontana. It's not one of the more well-known, or at least like Ashton and Macanudo or Romeo and Julieta, but it's a high-level brand, and I just love that cigar. Got a Churchill and also got one that's a torpedo tip as well. And Carol and Ashley and Cheyenne are there to help you out if you're buying cigars for yourself or for somebody else. You can go and pick one here, or get an entire box. They have humidors, they have the torch lighters, they have the cutters, whatever you need. And on top of that, they have a CBD product that helps you fall asleep restfully, peacefully, and you may get an extra 30, 45 minutes to an hour of sleep and not toss and turn if, in fact, something is on your mind. It makes a difference, believe me. Tell them I sent you. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Jeep Freedom Days are going on now at Allen Samuels in Waco. The new 2022 impressive Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 have 2.9% for 72 months, plus $4,000 competitive bonus cash. That's right, and $4,000 bonus cash. This incentive on the new 2022 Wagoneers for a limited time only at Allen Samuels in Waco. First responders get $500 extra cash. Come shop the huge new car and truck inventory today at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas, familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Brad Boozer, Boozer Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. This is a great time for your business.
Exactly. And one other thing we do that a lot of people don't know is we buy jewelry, heirloom pieces, gold, silver bars, gold bullion, watches, anything you may have that you want to. If you don't want to use it and remake something like I did in a state yesterday and I looked at 35 pieces, well, they're probably going to sell me back 30 because it's something they're not going to wear, nothing to use. So if you're looking to get a few bucks or to sell something or something you just don't wear anymore, I make my wife go through her jewelry box about every 6 to 8 months, and the things that she doesn't wear on a daily basis, this sounds horrible, but I take away from her, and then I'll put in my estate counter, but then that gives me the chance to rebuy her something new moving forward. Instead of looking down 20 years down the road and you have 300 pieces of jewelry, it's something to refresh and make her buy something new along the way.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
And Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
All right, this 4 o'clock hour, we'll have Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys as they've wrapped up their mini camp, OTA, and then Craig's off the radar. A little after 5 o'clock, Torian York, he's a linebacker at Temple High School, will join us. He's committed to Baylor. He's coming in for an official visit. And then also in the 5 o'clock hour, a very, very informative kind of back and forth opinions from Craig and Grayson Grundhafer on Austin Novosad, the quarterback from down in the Austin area who's visiting, who's committed to play at Baylor as well. We're now joined by Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Mickey, now there's a gap, right, until training camp and pretty much a lull in many ways?
Yeah, absolutely. 5 weeks, as a matter of fact. And this is kind of that time of the year where I think the coaching staff kind of holds their breath because they know they've got 90 guys out there unstructured for 5 weeks, and you never know what can happen. So you just hope that after 5 weeks, everybody comes back. And, you know, Mike McCarthy was pretty optimistic about the fact that because of the situation here at the Star, the Ford Center, the city of Dallas, that, you know, maybe guys won't just automatically say, okay, I got to go somewhere, because there's a lot of things they can do here. And like he said, usually guys get itchy after about 2 weeks or so being away, 3 weeks being away. They want to get back and start working out. So I think that was his hope, that the guys would stay engaged and not just, you know, lose everything they've gained during the off season workouts and practices.
Mickey, you know, one of the guys we haven't talked about the Cowboys losing all that much is Cedric Wilson. Look, he was the third wide receiver at best most games when he was in there, but he really had developed into kind of a do-everything guy, and they could do a lot of things with him. And, you know, obviously you can tell that Kellen Moore likes to move people around and give them different things, plus his special teams. How important is it for the Cowboys not to necessarily replace all those numbers because Cedric Wilson certainly built that over several years. But to find a guy who can fill maybe that role of a do-everything guy that can step in for them when needed.
Yeah, he was kind of their Swiss Army knife, right? Mm-hmm. You need a third receiver. Okay. Need to maybe let somebody throw the ball. Okay, Cedric Wilson. You need to catch a punt. Okay, Cedric Wilson. At this point, I don't know that they have a gadget guy like that, but I noticed in these last couple of practices, maybe OTA and then for sure the lone mini camp practice, they had Jalen Tolbert, the third-round draft choice receiver, was catching punts, and he looked like he was a pretty natural at doing it. He's a really good athlete, played baseball, I think, until he got in middle of high school or something like that. And so I think he's one of those guys they can use. I don't know about handing the ball as a more of a runner. You know, the other gadget guy they have is Tony Pollard. If they decide to use him, and he's been working a lot in these practice out of the slot, but he's done that before. They just haven't decided, okay, we're going to hand him the ball. So, yeah, and I don't know who can throw it. I think CeeDee Lamb can if they want to run something like that. So, Cedric was pretty, I thought, pretty important to this team. Unfortunately, so did Miami, and, with their cap situation, they were able to pay him enough to sign him away in free agency. But I really like this Jalen Tolbert guy. He's sharp. He's versatile as a wide receiver. He can line him up in the slot, line him up outside, and he seems to adapt well. Dak Prescott's pretty high on him. And you know what? They're going to need him at the beginning of the year, because if we assume Michael Gallup's not going to be ready to go, so basically you have CeeDee Lamb, you have James Washington, Noah Brown. I don't know if he's good enough to be your consistent third receiver. So that third receiver spot is open if he can grab it. And one of the things I was going to tell you guys, they've had so many soft tissue injuries in these last couple OTA practices, and for sure the mini camp practice, that a lot of these young guys were able to get snaps with the first team in different situations that they would not have gotten if all these guys were healthy. And I think that's invaluable for this team to let those guys get those snaps, because they're going to need them. I mean, their kind of solution to losing the guys they did was, well, we've got young guys, but it's time for them to step up. And they got an opportunity in these practices, and I know they're padless to be able to get reps that they would not have even close to get if all these guys were practicing as usual.
I never thought about that. You're exactly right. Guys that otherwise would probably be standing, waiting around.
Yeah, David, I'll give you an example. I was talking to Simi Fehoko. So he was their 5th-round draft choice last year. He only played in, I think it was 5 games, but he only got snaps in 2. He had 7 snaps last year. Well, when they went out with the first-team offense, it was Jalen Tolbert, Simi Fehoko, and Dennis Houston from Western Illinois as the top 3 wide receivers. And I said, how different was that from last year? He goes, I can get anything. He goes, they certainly weren't going to let me work with Dak, right? He goes, this has just been huge for me. Now, I'm not saying because he did this, he's going to jump up there and be one of the top receivers, but he's getting an opportunity that he would never have gotten if everybody was healthy. I think he kind of said, I used to get the scraps, like when somebody got tired, it's like, okay, Simi, go in, right, in practice. So, those snaps at this time of year are invaluable, and maybe even more so, but think about it. This will be the first year ever that the Cowboys only played 3 preseason games. Now, I know they didn't play any in 2020. The whole preseason got canceled because of COVID. But even last year, when it got reduced to 3, the Cowboys had 4 because they played in the Hall of Fame game. So that even reduces the opportunities for young guys to grow in preseason games, or for nobodies to kind of get an opportunity to say, hey, I'm here. We were talking to Everson Walls today on our podcast, and I said, so like in they didn't have mini camps. They didn't have OTAs. I said, when's the first time you worked out with the team? He goes, when we went to training camp for just rookie training camp. And the first time I worked with the veterans was in training camp. And I said, how many snaps did you get? He goes, me? He goes, I was undrafted. I was at the back of the line. I had to fight to try to get up there to get reps. And he said, so what these guys are getting is remarkable. I said, well, maybe if you had gotten some of these reps in training camp, you would have had 15 interceptions instead of 11.
Yeah, man, what a great year he had that first year. He and Michael Downs as undrafted free agents were incredible as well.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned his name, because every time we talk about Everson's rookie year, he always brings up Michael Downs and how good Michael Downs was coming out of Rice University.
Yep, absolutely, he was.
Mickey, I wanted to ask you about John Ridgeway, the rookie defensive tackle. Gotten a bit of a, I don't know, the fracas would be too big of a word, but a dust-up.
A dust-up.
A dust-up. Yeah.
That's the word of the the word of the week, right?
Yeah, a dust up it. I think coaches sometimes kind of like that stuff, given the right thing. Well, this guy's got some fire to him. What have you seen? I mean, obviously, defensive tackle is an important position for the Cowboys, but he seems to have got some fire to him a little bit.
No, I like it, and he's big. That's why, anybody's nickname is Big John. I'm all for it.
It's not ironic either. Yeah.
Right. He's got tree trunks for thighs. I mean, you couldn't believe how large this man is. And so, get a big guy in there, and we'll see what he can do once the pads come on. It's hard to tell this, but I kind of like his nature. It kind of reminded me of what happened in Chicago with Matt Eberflus, the Cowboys' former linebacker coach, who's now the head coach in Chicago. They got docked in OTA practice because they were having too much physical contact. And I'm going, are you serious? The people in Chicago love him now. It's like, we got Mike Ditka again. We got a tough coach that's making them work hard, right? So even though they lost a practice, he endeared himself to all those Bears fans.
Mickey, when, in fact, they get back together again and when they are in Oxnard and training camp, there's obviously always questions. Anything in particular that, at least for now, that you might be looking forward to seeing early on, even though there's a lot of what is basically shorts and helmets and not much else?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, number one, for me, because this team was so offensive-oriented last year. Like, they relied on their offense to score. They've lost Amari Cooper. They lost Cedric Wilson, right? They lost Connor Williams. So can this offense replace those guys enough to kind of keep their foot on the pedal? So what happens at the wide receiver position? Because when they get there, I'm sure Michael Gallup's going to be on top. Can CeeDee Lamb be the quality number one receiver? I like his confidence. And you go back and I watched the other day, I can't remember what website it was on. They had like a 9-minute highlight film of his season last year. And it just kind of reminded me of all the huge plays this guy made. So if he can do that, now they got to find the number two if Gallup's not there. Is it James Washington getting more responsibility than he had in Pittsburgh? Can Jalen Tolbert step up and help out until Gallup gets back? I think that'll be one of the questions. I think what happens on the offensive line right now, they went through this whole offseason practices. Tyler Smith, their first round pick, was second team guard behind Connor McGovern. They're going to give him that opportunity. But also Tyler Smith was also working as the backup left tackle when Tyron Smith didn't have first team reps at left tackle. They put Tyler Smith there, and then second team he went in and played guard. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then the kicker, Jonathan Garibay had a really good day on Tuesday kicking. And, back in the day, Steve Hoffman taught me about kickers that you can tell the power in their leg by the thud on the ball when they hit it. Well, this guy can thud it, and he was hitting from 53, 55 yards behind the line, by the way. in practice on Tuesday. But I would imagine they're going to bring in somebody to create some competition, if nothing else, to not wear out his leg. So what's going to happen at the kicker position? And then defensively, can they replace Randy Gregory? Can they get somebody on that right side that can do a heck of a job? They're looking at Dante Fowler there. Sam Williams, the second-round pick. See what he can do. But again, if what I've just said, they're relying on some young guys to step up and play significant positions. Are these guys ready for that? And that'll be, a couple of the things that I'll certainly be keeping an eye on in training camp. And along with, can the defense take that next step? I understand they led the league in takeaways. I understand that, they did a better job with points allowed. But in certain times, they weren't good enough. They were the 19th ranked defense overall. Can they make a jump to 15th or 14th when it comes to yards? And I think this defense may have to, if the offense can't get back to where it was, the number one offense in the league, right, last year, then this defense will have to do a better job, because you can't keep having to score 30 points a game to be able to win. And they did that only a few times last year. The other times they scored at least 27 points or more to win games. So the defense has to improve. Can they take that next step in Dan Quinn's second year, which will be the first time in several years they haven't changed the coordinators or whoever's calling the defense or the defensive scheme. So keep an eye on the defense.
Mickey, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Mickey Spagnola, Thursdays with us, DallasCowboys.com. And we'll have Craig's Off the Radar. Temple linebacker, Baylor commit, Torian York, visiting Baylor again this weekend. He'll join us around 5:15 or so. And then Craig and Grayson breaking down Austin Novosad, the quarterback out of the Austin area, and his weekend visit, and also the fact Ohio State's gotten in on him as well with an offer and a visit up there. When we come back, it's Craig and Off the Radar, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Sometimes you just meet someone that just changes how you look at things. For example, I have always been lackadaisical or lazy or just dumb when it comes to my dental work, and I'm paying for it now, and I have been really for the last several years. But one thing about Dr. Steve Childress and Stonewood Dental is he's really got me focused now on a track. Like, this is what I need to do now. This is what I need to do in 3 to 6 months. This is what I need to do over the next year, so that maybe I have an opportunity to not have to do so much in the future. I had implants a couple of months ago. Dr. Scott Warren did an incredible job. I'll have the crowns put in sometime maybe early in the fall, so I can hopefully get my full smile back. And on top of that, the way I keep up with my teeth and the way that their dental hygienists do that as well. It used to be a cleaning. Oh, wait, next thing you know, a year goes by. I did that. Stupid. Now I'm paying for it. And Dr. Steve Childress has me on track at Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or CreateACommotion.com.
All right, welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio. Craig Smoak with a little off the radar, some stories that we have not touched on, some stories outside of our normal scope, although we dabble in pretty much everything. But I know one thing that we kind of dabbled in a little bit earlier, getting into like some soccer and things like that, and mentioned that there was going to be the big announcement this afternoon for the FIFA 2026 World Cup, the North American World Cup. And, man, do y'all remember what it was like back in, 94 when the World Cup was in the U.S.? I remember that was a big deal, man. I was a little kid and thought it was cool how there's all these games all over the country. And
Alexi Lawless, Tony Miola, I'm just going to throw out names.
Kobe Jones.
Yeah.
But, I loved that time period. I remember that well. I think I was like in elementary school at that point in time. But we got the 2026 World Cup that'll be going on in Canada, Mexico, and the United States, and they've announced the official host sites for the 2026 World Cup. Let's see, if I want to do it organized by country, I think I could do that, or do it by region. Let's do it by region. In the Western region, the host sites will be Vancouver, BC, so Canada, Seattle, Washington, the San Francisco area, so I don't know exactly what that means, just the Bay Area. Los Angeles.
Santa Clara.
Okay, yeah, they got to see, but it's not San Francisco. Yeah. You know, like that's I don't know. They're using the power of the city's name when it's not really that. But yeah, Santa Clara, you're right. Los Angeles and Guadalajara, Mexico. So Guadalajara, Vancouver, Seattle, San Fran, and LA, your western sites. And the central sites got Kansas City, got Atlanta, got Monterrey and Mexico City out of Mexico. And we got 2 Texas host sites with Houston and Dallas, both being a part of the central region host sites. So AT&T Stadium's going to be seeing some. We could have probably talked to Mickey about that, but I didn't see it before then. But yeah, AT&T Stadium's another grand event. But yeah, Dallas and Houston both getting it, and then the East: Toronto, Boston, Philadelphia, Miami, and then New York, New Jersey. What is that then?
The Meadowlands.
Yeah,
probably.
Meadowlands. Okay, but those are your host sites from the West Central and East. Those are your 2026 World Cup host cities.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them which we said.
Yeah.
Like almost every single one of them other than one or two. Yeah.
So that's cool that's out there. I've seen a lot of excitement. And as I saw somebody point out, there's a lot of these that are, it's not really Dallas. It's Arlington. It's kind of, that's how it works. But that's cool that is now out there. This is another thing that I thought was interesting. David Blitzer. Do you guys know much about him?
No.
Well, he is a part of, some history when it comes to owning sports franchises as of today. You may have heard kind of the boogeyman that I guess you could say he's involved with, depending on like who you listen to, but BlackRock. I'm sure you've heard that mentioned before. He is involved with BlackRock, and I don't know a ton about him other than the fact that he is now going to be a equity owner in all 5 major U.S. sports leagues, which is not something that has apparently been done before, but that comes on the heels of today. There being an announcement that the Blitzer Group, ran by David Blitzer, would be agreeing to purchase 35% of the Cleveland Guardians franchise that was approved by Major League Baseball. Rob Manfred, said that it's pending close, but that's basically a done deal now at this point. So with David Blitzer now getting into the game when it comes to the Cleveland Guardians, that gives him equity stakes in the NFL, NBA, Major League Soccer, NHL, and now Major League Baseball, but he also has stakes in multiple foreign soccer teams. So he has the titles of this. He's not only the firm on the firm's management committee for Blackstone. I said BlackRock, Blackstone. But he's also the co-owner of the 76ers, the New Jersey Devils, Real Salt Lake, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now the Cleveland Guardians. Not to mention, he also owns pieces of Crystal Palace in the English Premier League, FC Augsburg in Germany, Estoril in Portugal, Waasland Beveren in Belgium, Alcorcon in Spain, and I know I'm probably getting some of these too bad. I don't know great names as far as some of these are pronounced, and then also Den Haag in the Netherlands. So that's quite the portfolio. But all 5 major U.S. sports leagues he has some sort of equity stake in.
I thought about doing that with my money. I haven't gotten there yet.
I thought about it too, but now somebody's done it, so what's the point?
You own a fantasy football team.
I do, and look, the other leagues have called up and said you've done such a good job there.
Yeah.
I promise you, I could run Washington better.
Yeah, I think just about anybody could.
I could run Washington better.
Yeah, but I just thought that's pretty cool. So he's got 6 different soccer teams from various leagues, from the German League, the Premier League, La Liga, all that, to, then all 5 of the major pro sports as well. So just an interesting accomplishment there today with the news about the Cleveland Guardians and David Blitzer. Meanwhile, NHL, we're not going to be seeing the Stanley Cup for at least a couple more days, but last night, did y'all watch a thrilling overtime victory? The Colorado Avalanche, Andrei Burakovsky, with the goal to give the Avs a 1-0 series lead, 4-3 in overtime over the Lightning last night, and they will resume action on Saturday.
Yeah, I did. It was look, the Lightning fell behind and then came back and tied it, and then that led to one of those, Garrett, I think you probably watched it, one of those third periods that was exciting but not.
Yeah, it was definitely one that went back and forth, and I love overtime hockey, so when it got down to the end, I was like, man, we're about to be in for something, and it's just really great series. I think coming into this, Colorado was the clear-cut favorite, but when you're the 2-time defending champs, man, the Lightning are giving them hell.
Yes, they are, so that was a good way to kick things off. That was watched by around 3.2+ million people, so a very healthy number for the NHL Stanley Cup. Any guesses on the only thing that it came behind as far as last night's ratings go?
Is there
how many people even know the regular TV schedule? You think if you had to say what's on the networks on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I wonder. But it was the 50th year celebration of The Price is Right over on
Bob Barker.
CBS pulled in 3.84 million viewers, so just about 600,000 more than the Stanley Cup Finals game one.
Bob Barker started it, right?
He did.
Yeah, see, they're known for Bob Barker.
Yes,
but Drew Carey's the host nowadays.
Yeah, here's what Amanda's a huge Price is Right fan. Here's my delineation of Bob Barker and Drew Carey. Bob was a smooth, television host. I mean, you watch The Price is Right. Bob was nothing but smooth. Drew is also very good. Drew is genuinely upset when people, like, if they say, all right, I'm going to $3.99 for the cereal, and they like pull it away and it says $5.99. He's like, no, that's bogus, man. He's really mad about that. Is where Bob was kind of like Alex Trebek. He's like, of course the cereal is $5.99. How do you not know that? That's the biggest difference, I'll say. Alex Trebek used to pretend like he knew all those answers too. And I love Alex Trebek. But
that'd be a great top 5, the greatest talk show or game show host.
Oh yeah, I think so. I can do 3 right at the top of my head.
50 million is what you said? Well, the 50th year, how many million?
No, 50. If they had 50 million viewers, that would be like it was 3.84. Yeah, it was the 50th. Yeah, it was a very strong number. They had 50 million. That's like Super Bowl stuff. But 50 years that The Price is Right has been around now. Army-Navy is going to be played in 5 different cities over the next 5 years, all along the East Coast. Army-Navy will now be played, it was announced, in stadiums near Boston, Washington, Baltimore, New York, and Philadelphia. Both schools announced in a press release on Wednesday. Foxborough will host in 2023. They'll have a game in Landover in 2024, Baltimore in 25, East Rutherford in 26, and then Philadelphia in 27. And CBS will have the broadcast for all 5 of those games.
So 4 good stadiums in Landover, Maryland.
Yeah. How do they keep getting gigs? I don't know. But what do y'all think? I mean, that's a traditional game that closes the college football season, regular season.
Every
basically.
one of those cities makes sense. I don't know if they'll ever go too far west, but Philadelphia and Baltimore, and Washington, and all those places, it makes sense. I mean, the United States Naval Academy is in Annapolis, Maryland. The U.S. West Point is in New York. So I love that they're doing that. I really do.
Well, and there's a few more details. That 2023 game, which will be in the Boston area, that will coincide with the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. So there's that little history. Also, the 225th anniversary of the USS Constitution's maiden voyage. It will also be the first time Army-Navy has been played in New England, and Navy will serve as the home team. The Washington game will host the 2024. That will mark the 125th game in the series, known as America's Game, so they'll have it in the nation's capital area. Only the second time that will have been played in D.C., first time since 2011. And then there was another tie-in, the Baltimore game in 2025, Fort McHenry, the site where Francis Scott Key penned the lyrics to the national anthem. So they really kind of thought this out on a historical level as well to coincide with some interesting anniversaries, and so that will be the backdrop. And they've had the game previously 6 times in the Baltimore area, but this will be the first time since 2016. So yeah, a lot of interesting details as far as Army-Navy now traveling around a bit.
Now listen, let me give you a little Boston tourism pro tip on the Boston Tea Party, since it's the thing. You can go to the spot in Boston Harbor where the Boston Tea Party was, and they have a replica ship. And part of the thing you can do, and it's tied onto ropes, but you can throw, tea into the harbor so you can feel like the revolutionaries were. And I just got to tell you, it was not as satisfying as I thought it would be. I didn't really feel like I was sticking it to the man.
Well, I'm thirsty.
just throw this box of tea.
None of that, any of those things that happened back then, none of those are tied into mascots, are they?
No, I hope not. But yeah, I threw it in the harbor, and then I thought, well, I did that.
Good for you. You're a part of history.
Elsewhere, NBA tonight, you've got the Golden State Warriors up 3-2, taking on the Boston Celtics. That game in Boston. And Warriors looking to close it on out. Have y'all enjoyed this series thus far? I've been it's been interesting, but, as Garrett and I have kind of talked about before, our interest level in the NBA is not the highest that it's ever been right now. I enjoy the teams. I respect a lot of the guys, but I have not been glued into this series, and I think I've got a little bit of Warriors fatigue too. I think it's part of the deal. As much as I respect them and as great as they are, I I've seen it a few times now. You know what I mean? So great for their fans, but I'm not as into it as I wished I was.
This has gotten a little drama because of the fact the Celtics hammered them early.
And everybody called the series over.
Yep. And I thought Boston was a better team because their defense was better. And then, of course, the Warriors just started grinding it out. And then Draymond Green got it himself under control as much as he can. And Steve Kerr's done a nice job. And, of course, Curry's been phenomenal with 43 points. I'll watch tonight. Not tonight, tomorrow, right? When's games? Tonight, Game 6 tonight. I'll be watching it because I always like to watch maybe what could be the end, just like I'll watch the Stanley Cup when someone's up with 3 wins in that series.
All right.
And even before then.
And finally, the Von Erichs. A lot of people here in the state of Texas who maybe were wrestling fans at one point in time or remain to be, and then a lot of people just in the South in general with world-class wrestling back in the 80s in particular. The Von Erich family, they were very famous, and they are getting the movie treatment, and I'm actually kind of surprised that it took this long because their story is very tragic and very interesting, and I'll just emphasis on the tragic part because I know the story very well, but now we're going to see the movie version of it. New movie called The Iron Claw, which was a reference to the father, the patriarch, his finishing maneuver. It was the Iron Claw, basically just his big old hand, a vice grip around your head, and he'd squeeze it, and that was the Iron Claw, and you couldn't get out of it, right? But that was Fritz Von Erich, the father, the patriarch that I mentioned. His boys all got into wrestling, became big stars, and then a bunch of tragedy hit. Well, we'll see that unfold in the Iron Claw movie, which apparently has already made one casting, and that is Zac Efron will be one of the stars of this new movie. And I've already seen some people speculating about, who could he be playing? Who would he be playing? Well, there's one brother, spoiler, that's still alive, and that is Kevin. And so Zac Efron, I'd say probably the safe bet. I don't see him going the short and then he's out of there route, like one of the lesser-known brothers. So I don't know exactly who he will play, but Zac Efron is going to be one of the stars in this movie.
Yeah, he's a pretty cut-up dude, so he'll look like a wrestler. He was in that Baywatch movie with The Rock. So,
have you seen that? I've never watched it.
No, I have not. But look, I actually like most of Zac Efron's work. If you ever see a movie he did with Matthew McConaughey called The Paperboy, highly recommend it. But Zac, I think that's a great casting. I don't think of High School Musical at all when I think of him anymore.
Yeah, I don't think of that either. I think of what was the Grandpa movie with De Niro? That's what I think of.
Like a Dirty Grandpa?
Dirty Grandpa, yeah. I think that's the last thing I saw Zac Efron in. But yeah, he's going to be starring as one of the Von Erichs in that new movie. So we'll see that when it comes out, and I'll definitely check it out. But there's a few things off the radar.
Great stuff on Off the Radar. The NBA Finals, Stanley Cup playoffs, of course, opened up with the Avalanche, winning in overtime against the Lightning, and so much the U.S. Open. We'll update that leaderboard a little bit later on. Paul's top 5 around the corner, but Temple linebacker Torian York is visiting Baylor. He's committed to Baylor. We'll drop in with him and also how he sees the class of 2023. And then a little bit later on, Grayson and Paul breaking down Austin Novosad and what he's doing. The quarterback, of course, who's committed to Baylor. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. I'm going to be over there tomorrow to pick up my vehicle after they've been fixing it up for me, and I do appreciate Donnie getting back to me on that. Great customer service. That is something I can actually vouch for and not just read off of a script. I can tell you now with a couple of experiences having to go over there. No fault of my own, but just bad luck this past year with vehicles. I've gotten treated very well, and I'm looking forward to getting my car back 100% tomorrow. But for those of you in the market, new cars and trucks are arriving weekly at Richard Carr. You can call the dealership or go online to check out their inventory. And you can go to the dealership and start talking to them and get into building the vehicle that you would like. Build the perfect vehicle that you're looking for. You can get into all of that. You can also get your name on their inbound vehicle list. And what that means is that you're obviously looking to buy new rather than used or pre-owned. Used or pre-owned, a little bit quicker of a process, a little bit more availability there. But to get the quickest, newest car that you can, get your name on that inbound vehicle list, and that'll put you in line to be up next when that car, truck, or SUV that you're desiring is available. If you need a car today, though, and you're looking to check out the dozens of quality pre-owned cars and trucks they have on the lot. Just know that all of them go through a 172-point inspection, so you can drive them with peace of mind, and they will pay top dollar on your trade with dozens of lending options. They'll say yes to loans when others say no. They've been serving Waco for over 23 years. They've offered award-winning service from the Collision and Service Center, and they're a dealer you can count on for not only a great deal, but also superior service for the life of your car. So trust the good local people you can count on. Richard Carr, run by proud Baylor Bears and proud Wacoans. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Cryer from the corner. And it rattles home.
Wow. The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We will see Torrey and York of Temple along with everybody else of Temple, and we have midway football against Temple a little bit later on this year. High school football season, of course, starts the last week in August. Baylor commit linebacker from Temple, joins us. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Torian, thanks for your time. So it's a visit this weekend, the official visit. You're already committed. There's others that are coming in this week. How much are you and others like Austin and others kind of like running this particular class and not only keeping it together, but also making sure others know about Baylor?
I think we're doing a great job of leading so far. Of course, Austin's the quarterback of the offense, and I'm the quarterback of the defense. So I think we're recruiting our guys for our side of the ball, but I think it's coming along great. We're getting a lot of commits. We got a lot of commits recently, and we have a lot more coming up. So I think we're on the right track to build a strong class for sure.
Are you a natural recruiter? Do you feel like this is something that, 25 years from now you could easily just pick up the phone and get people to come to a school?
Yes, sir, for sure. I feel like when I play my last number of football, whether that's in high school, college, or in the NFL, I'm going to be a coach regardless of how my playing career goes. I just have my mindset on being a coach. I feel like I love the game, and I know too much about the game to just be sitting at a desk and not spreading my knowledge.
Torian, you've been committed for quite a while now. What's it been like to just have that process over and be able to focus the way that you have on just your senior season and also helping out, like you said, with what Baylor's got going on? But has that been a lot less stressful being locked down, so to speak?
Yes, sir. It's a big weight lifted off my chest and my shoulders for sure. It just gives me a lot of time to focus on. Ultimately, my end goal is just to win a state championship in high school, and that's always been my goal. Like all the offers and the stars and commits and all that stuff has been a byproduct of just my hard work. And I felt like as long as I worked hard and I stayed the course and I just stayed down, then the offers and things like that would come. And thankfully it did. And I'm coming home to Baylor.
When you committed to Baylor, did others still try to change your mind? Do others still try to just check in with you? And what's that process like?
Yeah, they have. But, I think they know that I'm with Baylor for sure. But it's always great to build those relationships and just keep those guys, just continue to build strong relationships with them because you don't know. My favorite team is the 49ers in the NFL, so you don't know. Maybe the DC at North Texas might be the DC for the 49ers one day. So I don't want to just blow him off because he's at North Texas and I'm going to Baylor, So I make sure that I always respond to them and just keep a strong relationship with them.
Man, that's a big picture, way of looking at things right there. Yeah, like the NFL all the way down. I mean, that's where'd you get kind of that insight? What would you credit that to? Just people in your life that have helped you kind of see the big picture.
I just think that's just how my family operates. We never really blow anybody off. Because this time last year I was going through my 12 camp circuit in 22 days. So I just got thank God for just blessing me in this position because. Like I said, at this time last year, I was like on my 7th camp out of 12. I started on June 1st and I ended on June 22nd. So I went to 12 camps in 22 days. So I'm in a very different position than I was last summer. I'm just grateful for it and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't blow anybody off because I remember where I came from last year.
Yeah, don't burn bridges you may need to cross one day. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Torian, how excited are you to work with a group of coaches that really are artists when it comes to developing linebackers?
I mean, I'm extremely excited. I'm basically having 2 defense coordinators and 2 linebacker coaches with Coach Aranda and Coach Roberts. Coach Aranda just won a national championship in 2020. So I think he's going to bring a lot from what he did that year. He's going to use it with me. He's just developed me every day and every practice. I feel like I'm going to get better and then ultimately get to the NFL one day.
So your birthday's next week. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So
you turned 17 years old. You got everything out in front of you. You got a little bit of summertime as well. And then, of course, right back to the grind. Well, do even high school athletes like yourself even get downtime anymore?
Not necessarily, especially this month of June is really action-packed. I got a lot of visits going on. And then I'm taking summer class at the high school, summer class at the Temple College, just so I can graduate early and get up to Baylor in January. So that's my main goal. And it's always been my goal since 8th grade. Whenever I had no offers or no, idea about the recruiting game, I always knew that I wanted to commit early and then go to college early. Because there's no point in me wasting 6 months at high school, just sitting around or running track, things like that, when I could already be at the campus getting better and going through spring ball and such things.
What is the tweet I saw from you about, well, in fact, it was yesterday, 5:46. That AM, that's not PM because it's still light now.
That's AM, yes, sir.
So what did you do? What were you doing? Were you running? Were you just working out? What were you doing?
I do a lot of everything. I get there early. I do a lot of stretching. I run, condition, do my footwork drills, flipping my hips, things like that. It just felt like with this being my last go-around, like I'm devoted to winning. That's always been my main goal. It's my innate personality, just be a winner. and I'm very competitive. So for us to be knocked out the playoffs 2 years in a row, like I never held a gold ball on the way home from a game. You know, all of my playoff wins have been at home in the first round. So I'm trying to get over the hump, and I just know that I need to be at my best to do so. So I'm just really focused on winning right now. I'm not focused on individual stats and things like that, because I feel like I play the game the right way, and I play the game playing my all, going hard 100% every play. So I feel like I can go even harder and go 120% and impact the game in all three phases of the game.
Torian, how passionate are the fans of Temple High School football?
I mean, they're very passionate, you know, in good and bad ways. You know, when we're winning, they love it, but when they're bad, they're going to get on to us. You're going to hear about it from, you know, your family members and social media, things like that. But you always just have to keep a level mind. You know, you can never get too high on yourself. You never get too down on yourself. So it's all about finding that median whenever you're playing football for Temple, because we're like one of the top winningest programs in history and Texas football history. So that comes with good and bad for sure.
What do you think of the new district?
I think it's great. You know, White coming in our district they're loaded with D1 talent, and Midway is always going to be Midway. You know, regardless of the past season they had, I mean, they were playing in the toughest district in Texas, so they kind of came back down to our district. So I think Midway isn't as bad as people think they are. You know, they played Duncanville and Cedar Hill and DeSoto and Waxhatchee, things like that. So they're in a really talented district. So for them to come back down and use that experience, I think that Midway is the pusher that everybody thinks they are.
You know, that's impressive, because a lot of high school players, athletes, whatever, they're just focused on your own district. You know who you're going to play that district in the next round. You don't know who it's going to be, and they have some elite, absolutely elite teams. But you even knew what they were up against for a couple of years and why they haven't been as good.
Indeed, yes, because you also have to think about it this way. If say we got second in our district the past couple of years, we're probably playing DeSoto or Cedar Hill, things like that. We don't get to play Waxhatchee since we got first place. So if we were in second place, you know, we might have been playing those bigger schools. You know, we might have been in 6A D1 instead of 6A D2. So it's just all about knowing who you're going to play and who you can possibly play.
That's a great perspective from your part on sometimes the guys don't even know who they're playing after the game in front of them because there's such a focus on that.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Temple Midway usually plays some classic games, that's great rivalry and good to have that one back for sure.
Torian, one more thing. It's the class of 2023, and you're in it, and you know Austin Novosad. He's also he's coming in this weekend, the quarterback. How much do you guys, or is there a group text among others who have committed, and you kind of have your own little group there? What's that like?
Yes, so we have every commit that's committed to Bears so far. We're all in a little group chat on Twitter, so we're always in contact talking about if we're going to the camp, we're going to when we're taking our OV, things like that. So we definitely have a better group chat full of commits for sure.
All right, so do you have at least between after the visits this month, and you got 7-on-7? I'm not sure what you guys are doing there, if at all. What is an opening for you? What will you do if you get a couple of days other than working out? What will you do? Do you get a chance to go breathe and do something else?
Not really. You know, I think I'm just focused on winning right now. You know, I made like that the time that I get off, you know, after my last high school game, I'll try to take a week to myself, and then I'll get right back to prepare for college. You know, I really don't like taking breaks. Like we went to Colorado for a family vacation, but I found myself at the gym as soon as I landed because I just felt like I felt like people were getting ahead of me, and I can't stand that feeling of people. If I can imagine somebody working harder than me, then I really feel like I have to go out there and do more. Even if I already worked out, I feel like I have to go again because I can't stand the feeling of having somebody working harder than me.
Where did you guys go in Colorado?
We went to Denver.
Denver. That's did you run out there with the altitude and some of those? Obviously, I'm not expecting you to be running mountains, but knowing you, heck, you might have. I don't know. Yeah,
me and my brother were jogging up the mountains because my brother ran track and cross country at UIW in San Antonio, so he's a big runner. He ran every day, but we were up the mountains. We just tried to run it up a little bit, but it was some good stuff. You know, that altitude was no joke, so we definitely felt a change in the air for sure.
Torian, great to talk to you again, man. Have fun this weekend. We'll be in touch. Look forward to seeing you later in the year with Temple playing against Midway and just Temple throughout the year. Thanks for your time and enjoy the weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Torian York. What a very got great perspective. I bet there's a lot of high school players that aren't as in tuned.
You got better perspective than a lot of adults. Yeah. I mean, geez, like thinking as far out as like, hey, might be in the NFL one day, and the college coach who I'd say kiss off because I'm committed somewhere else, he might be my defensive coordinator one day. Like, not everybody thinks that far out. That's very impressive, and it's easy to see, I think, in listening to him what was attractive to Baylor outside of just his football skills. I mean, great kid to talk to, great perspective. And yeah, seems to have a really good head on his shoulders and a lot of motivation and a lot of confidence. So I think and obviously a really great work ethic. So I'm sure, Garrett, you've talked to him plenty of times before, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, I have. He's definitely, to me, when you look at Torian, I think he's the next Terrell Bernard.
Okay.
He's very humble. He's kind of overshadowed because of his size. I think that by the time the year is finished, you'll see him transform to a 4-star from a 3-star. But I think that's kind of been one of those things where he gets kind of miscued when you look at it. But if you turn on the film, he's just a natural football player. And you put him in the system for Baylor and you get him developed, he's going to be a dog, man.
Yep. He seems to have a good, like I said, a good focus, good perspective. So, and a great work ethic. And I agree. I do think he's a little bit of one of those. It's like, it's not the highly rated, so people maybe overlook him or he's overshadowed or what have you, but he's a damn good football player. So, yeah, excited about him.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to get to Craig and Grayson discussing Austin Novosad. He's the quarterback out of Dripping Springs. And we'll have that. It's about 10 minutes. Is that right, Garrett, from part of the Bearcast from earlier this week? Adam Hadwin, right now in the course, leads the U.S. Open, 4 under par. 3 under par includes Rory McIlroy, also among others. And then David Lingmerth. We bring him up because, again, the local caddy. And Micah Fugit is his caddy this week at the U.S. Open. Matt Fitzpatrick has a hole to play, 3 under. Justin Rose, 3 under. So those are some of the names. Dustin Johnson through 17, 2 under par. Morikawa in the clubhouse at 1 under par, as is John Rahm, and Max Homa, Will Zalatoris as well. Phil Mickelson now 7 over. I think he's played 15. He's got 2 or 3 holes left to play in his first round of the U.S. Open. Jordan Spieth shot 2 over par. Sikkim, 365 Radio, 365 Sports. The city of Woodway, they're having a craft brewing tasting. Pretty cool. Think about it. They do this a lot. They've done a really, really good job of having promotions that are events that they have, of course, of the Arboretum and where they have the landscaping and the hiking and trailing of all sorts of things that are great there. Hotels, if you're coming into Waco and you can't find one, they have 7 hotels for you to choose from. They have this going on. Taste of Southern Roots craft beer tasting and concert on July the 7th. If you are interested and you want to text me right now, I will give away 4 tickets to that event if you text me first person based on the timeline at 254-339-1122. Craft beer tasting and concert, July 7th, the city of Woodway. For more information about everything Woodway, go to discoverwoodway.com.
Allen Samuels is having the Make the Switch sales event in June on the award-winning new 2022 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star. In June, the special value is up to $7,000 or get $4,000 bonus cash and 2.9% for 72 months. Ram trucks are designed to be durable, functional, and stylish. This legendary truck gives you that first-class feel. Allen Samuels in Waco, the place to shop for Ram trucks. First responders get $500 extra cash.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy old world pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
We just had one of the gems of the Baylor class of 2023, linebacker Torian York out of Temple. One of course, the names that everybody keeps up with is Dripping Springs quarterback Austin Novosad. He's in town this weekend for an official visit. He did receive, and Craig discussed this, and so did Grayson on the Bearcast, and even we mentioned this, he got an offer from Ohio State, and whenever you see that, you have to sit there and take pause for a second. So Grayson and Craig broke down the quarterback who is basically everybody wants him. Austin Novosad committed to Baylor, visiting Baylor this weekend.
Austin Novosad, and the fact that he was official visitor for Ohio State. I know that the last time I was on here a couple weeks ago before I took a break last week, we talked about it a little bit and just, the thoughts of him going and visiting the Buckeyes and how big of a deal that is. So I know you wanted to talk about this because everybody's talking about this. Big news with 2 commits, but what's the latest and what's the feel on, the big crown jewel of this 2023 class, which is the quarterback position, especially now that said quarterback's getting offers from the likes of Ohio State and whatnot.
Yeah, Ohio State, and then, of course, he got Stanford, a month ago,
and I asked you about, and that was one that I think I asked you about a while ago, just is he one of those kids where, like not a Jordan Whittington, Connor Weddington, where Stanford... Like that's a game changer because of the education piece, and you didn't think so?
No, he went and visited, but not an official visit. He just went and kind of looked out there. I don't think it's it's a good fit for him personally, and based on everything I've heard. And so, this is pretty much it. He has not said he's taking any other official visits. I think this Ohio State offer, it didn't take him by surprise. I've mentioned Ohio State was talking to him for a long time. Them, Stanford, and Texas A&M were kind of the 3 schools that would not have shocked me at all if they offered, and 2 of the 3 did. Texas A&M still hasn't. They probably will extremely late, which is too late by now. But for Ohio State's purposes, so they get him on a visit. He goes to camp. He gets the offer. He comes back and he makes a return trip for an official visit. And I think the big thing that they're really selling Austin on is Ryan Day, the head coach, and Corey Dennis, the quarterback coach, just talking about development of the position. And what they've done at Ohio State, when you talk about guys like JT Barrett, Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, there's a long history of guys that have been very productive in Ryan Day's offense. And so I think they're really trying to sell that point home that, like, if you become the starting quarterback at Ohio State, you're going to get to the NFL. And for the most part, that has been true. And it seems true. Now, how much success they have at the NFL level is a completely different conversation. But for this conversation, it's about getting them to the NFL. And I think that's been a huge selling point for them. And I totally understand that. And, you know, they're selling this dynamic offense. You have the ability to come in and throw for 50 touchdowns and all these things. I mean, Dwayne Haskins threw for 50 touchdowns. I mean, it's
JT Barrett threw for 1 billion touchdowns like
1 billion,
10 years ago. Yeah.
You know, so they have that going for them. And I think that's the main selling point. And I get it. You know, the head coach being the quarterback coach is something that can be very appealing. I also look at their depth chart, though, and I go, okay, so when is this going to come about?
Exactly.
You know, because you look at it, Kyle McCord, high 4-star prospect. He's just a redshirt freshman. You got Devin Brown, who's a true freshman, who is actually Austin's host on the visit as well. And you can tell me that, okay, CJ leaves after this year, which he will. He's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick for sure. But then those two guys, I mean, if either one wins the job next year with, you know, Austin there, I mean, you're going to be sitting for probably 2 years, and then you got to beat out the other guy and whoever they brought in recruiting wise, you know, and they have Dylan Raiola, the number 1 overall prospect in the 2024 class, committed. So it's just, there's a lot of uncertainty there. And as we know at Ohio State, they cycle through backup quarterbacks like no other. Those guys go and transfer left and right.
Argument that their backups are like, there's an argument of like, who's better, the backups that have moved on? Cause you're talking about like the Joe Burrows. I mean, he headlines it and that's why you think that, but you know, like there's Jack Miller and there's a ton of those guys that have transferred elsewhere. Yeah. I mean, there's two sides to that coin, but yeah, as much as they're producing, they're also producing transfers.
Right, they are. And at any place you go, you're going to have to earn the job, for sure. But if you look at Baylor's, it's just much cleaner. I mean, you got Blake Shapen ahead of you, but Blake Shapen's going to be a redshirt junior by the time Austin gets to Baylor. And who knows? I mean, if Shapen has a great year this year and they win a Big 12 championship and then he comes back next year and does equally as well, I know his size isn't ideal for the NFL, but I mean, if you're winning and you're productive, I mean, and you're a redshirt junior at that point, you're probably going the NFL. Like, I don't know that you're going to stay much longer than that. Maybe. But either way, you kind of know if you're Austin that there's a clear path to playing time after Blake Shapen because no one else on the roster is proven at all. And the only other person that's going to be on the roster is Kyron Drones at this point, who hasn't proved anything. So,
and who's probably at a point where like this year will be an indicator on what he does ultimately, potentially based on like him looking at the hourglass and going, okay, my eligibility and how much time I have left and all that. I mean, not suggesting anything, but I mean, that will be natural. He'll have been on campus for like 3 years and barely have played most likely. So he's got to start thinking about, okay, what do I do? What's realistic? So yeah, I mean, whether he stays or does not, Austin Novosad's in line to see playing time far quicker and easier than Ohio State for sure.
Right. And so, okay, let's look at some of the other factor that I kind of wanted to dive into really quick. Ohio State has 9 quarterback offers out. 9 of them. Okay. Baylor has 3. And they haven't offered anyone since they offered Austin Novosad. But Ohio State on that end, they're still in it for 4-star quarterback Dylan Lonergan out of Georgia and 4-star quarterback Brock Glenn out of Tennessee. Neither of those guys are committed anywhere. I know for Dylan, it seems like South Carolina has the momentum. He's got an official visit scheduled to Stanford. Might take one to Ohio State too. We'll see on that. Brock Glenn, on the other hand, he has an official visit this weekend to Ohio State. And this is probably Ohio State's biggest weekend as far as bringing in a massive amount of recruits. Because on Austin's visit, there were only 4 other guys that were getting recruited that were on that trip with him. And so Brock Glenn will be there with a big group of guys. He's taking visits to Auburn and Florida State. No offense to those schools, but I don't see the trajectory there. Neither of those schools are really trending in a great direction compared to Ohio State.
You said it was Auburn and who?
And Florida State. I mean,
yeah. I mean, both of those have coaches that you could argue are on hot seats already.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it's like, is he really going to go to those schools over Ohio State?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
no.
And he got offered 7 days ago by Ohio State. So he was actually offered after Austin was offered. which I find very interesting, a very intriguing part of this entire situation. And I know I've read some things that are talking about how Austin is going to wait 2.5 weeks before making a decision. He's got the Elite 11 at the end of the month. So I think everyone's circling that date as he's going to be done with his recruitment by the time he goes to the Elite 11. I personally don't think it's going to take that long. I think we will know Sunday whether this is going to be him sticking to Baylor or him looking at other options, Ohio State obviously being the main option. And the reason I say that is because he's been to Baylor so many times. He's got a great relationship with Baylor. For me, and everything I've heard, everything I've seen, this official visit is going to determine what happens with Austin Novosad. And if he comes to Baylor, gets all the answers that he needs and has that same feeling and culture fit that he's always had at Baylor, I think it's going to be really hard for him to decide to jump ship and go somewhere else, especially when you look at all the resources that Baylor's put into him, not taking a 2022 quarterback, not offering other quarterbacks. There are no backup plans at Baylor. There are many backup plans for Ohio State. Baylor has gone completely all in on Austin. He knows he's the priority, not just a priority, the priority for this class. And that's why it's such a big visit. And Baylor's got to find a way to seal the deal. And personally, I think they will. I think he's going to end up signing with Baylor. And that would be huge for them to go the Elite 11 and represent Baylor the way that we all know he will as potentially a top 5 quarterback in the entire class.
So that'll be this weekend?
This weekend, he's got his official visit, and I'm everything I've seen and everything kind of trending that I've heard and through conversations, I just can't imagine that he leaves this visit without knowing what he's going to do. I would be pretty stunned by that, because I think if he doesn't know what he's going to do, then that's probably not a good sign for Baylor.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so with all the time they've invested at this point and all of the focus. I mean, it's pretty clear to me when you know what they've done in terms of narrowing in on him. And you mentioned Ohio State's got like more than a handful of quarterback offers out. And quite frankly, I mean, let's be realistic about it. I know they're probably saying something different, but if they don't get him, they'll be fine. They'll move on and not even sweat it one single bit. If Baylor doesn't get him, there'll be full panic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if you're Austin Novosad, I understand the allure of Ohio State and all of that, but I mean, just looking at their quarterback rooms recently, and as much as there's been out as going in, and just kind of who they are, he's just the next highest ranked guy he's just that next guy in line to get, and he's not necessarily the focus or the goal. Where at Baylor, he is the focus, he is the goal, he is the guy. So, we'll see how much that plays into it. You think that would play in quite a bit, because clearly there's more emphasis from one team than there is the other. He's a need for them just in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
He's like the guy that Baylor wants.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. And I guess my whole reasoning by this official visit thing is like, what are you going to learn in 2 weeks after the visit? Like, you already took the official visits. You learned everything about both schools. You got to see everything at both schools. Like, I just can't imagine it drags out for a long time. I know I've read some stuff about that and seen reports on that, but I truly think he'll make up his mind after this weekend, and we'll know. And honestly, everyone needs to know everyone needs to know what's going on there, because Ohio State's got to figure out what they're going to do. Maybe they take a commitment from Brock Lynn this weekend.
Yeah.
If they know that Austin's not on the table, they might just take a commitment from that guy. So that's interesting. And from the Baylor side of things, they need to know, because they got to figure out the quarterback position, because they already skipped on 2022. They can't miss again in 2023.
Marcos.com. There are 5 locations now in Waco. There's over 1,000 stores around the country. Fastest growing pizza company in America. And Bob Mock is an owner of 5 of them in Waco, including Hewitt, Woodway, Robinson, Belmead, and China Spring. There were just 3 about 4 or 5 months ago. He's added 2 new ones in Robinson and also off Hewitt. Delicious pizza. Unlimited large 2-topping pizzas. Go online right now. Order $8.99 each. You can use the code HOT2GO. Also, the Pepperoni Magnifico, $9.99 for a large. Use the code PEPMAG as well. $3 off large specialty pizzas. Order now. The code is special 3. Unlimited medium 1-topping pizzas, $7.99 each. And you can order that now online or call your local or closest Marco's Pizza. Go online. It is marcos.com. And on top of that, they also have much more. Pizza bowls. They have sandwiches, wings, drinks. What you need, they have them. They can even do gift cards for somebody if you want to get something for them as a gift. It's Bob Mock and 5 locations of Marco's in Waco, Texas, and 1,000 stores around the country. Go to marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice, or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com, or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 555.
Big 12 SEC Challenge announced today, and it's always a cool thing in the middle of the conference season. But here are the top 5 matchups in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Number 5, this is a battle of new coaches. In Florida versus Kansas State. And it'll be interesting to see because both these teams, you know, it's college basketball. Every team's kind of created out of the portal now, but these two teams really will be almost fully created out of the portal. And I'm curious to see where they are at this point in the season on January 28th if the new coaches have made, of course, we know Jerome Tang really well, have made enough inroads where this one is a game that could be played in the NCAA tournament or the NIT at that point, hopefully for either of them at least. That would be what it is. Well, not for Florida. Who cares about them? But but we'll see. This is why I think this was the kind of interesting one is two new coaches against
Never knew you didn't like the Gators.
You know, I swear I feel like Paul, like there somebody like Ed McMahon style walk up and say, we'll give you $5 million. All you have to do is not say something bad about Florida, and you wouldn't be able to do it, would you?
For how long?
That's what I'm saying. Like for like a year. For like a year.
$5 million. For like a year. No, look, I'll tell you right now. If I needed a kidney and the only match was Tim Tebow, that'd be it. I'm not having Tim Tebow's kidney.
See, there you go.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to let that sanctimonious left-handed SOB stand over me and say, "Hey, I give you a kidney."
God.
As a southpaw,
yes,
I take offense to that.
Yes.
I take offense to that.
Yeah. I just threw the left-handed thing in there just to describe.
If you needed a kidney, and he was the only match,
not a chance.
Yes, you would.
Goodbye. I've lived a long enough life. There is no way I want anything of him involved with
Not
me.
only would he give you the kidney, and you would accept it, he would kiss you on your forehead.
And he'd give you a little piece of his heart,
I'm
too.
telling you right now,
Just
there
'cause.
is no way I would do it. I would die on that hill, literally.
And then take you to a Rascal Flatts concert.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll take if that's what I need. Give it to me from Tebow. I would take that gladly in return. But as far as this game goes, I'm excited for Jerome Tang. I think it's going to be really cool to see what he does with that K-State program. It already seems like he's drummed up a good bit of excitement. And you know, like you said, it's hard to kind of even know what's what right now because of all the transfer portal. You know, like who's where and what, and still trying to wrap our heads around that. But he's been very active, and should be really interesting to see these two clash next year.
Yeah, number 4, Texas Tech versus LSU. Tech, a team that's dominating the portal. LSU, a team that will be literally 100% created out of the portal. With Matt McMahon's new staff as he comes in from Murray State. I actually think that LSU probably will be pretty good right away because he's already brought in some pretty good guys. And Tech is going to be good again. This is an interesting clash of styles with that Murray State style coming to LSU. And, of course, Mark Adams and his just unrelenting defensive pace that he keeps Tech on.
Yeah, he's done a great job there. He really has. To not only sustain it, but then to take it to another level. Of course, they had a Final Four appearance with Beard, and who's now at Texas. But Mark Adams, the LSU is going to be intriguing. They are basically a brand new roster because of what happened with all the defections and stuff. But
yeah, I mean they're
all 11 scholarship
put them
players
next to
left.
each other and just mark through the similarities. They're not going to be many marks because it's basically night and day, but. This will be very interesting just because I think there's the unknown of what LSU is going to be and then the known of what we know with Tech, and they're going to be very good. Like, to what extent, though? Are they national championship good? They haven't been just yet. They've been good enough to get there but not win it. Are they going to be Final Four good? Are they more Sweet 16 good? Like, I don't know exactly because their roster's been so in flux as well, even though there's a couple guys that, are familiar. But, this should just be interesting for a lot of this, just the unknowns.
Number 3, Texas versus Tennessee. Of course, Rick Barnes, once again, against his old employer. And these two teams should both be pretty darn good again next year with Chris Beard at Texas. I'm not sure if these are teams that are going to win the conference. I think they're probably a tier below that. Texas is going to be interesting or contend for that, especially by January 28th, they'll still be in the mix there. But I think they'll be in the mix, but not necessarily the guys who are going to win it. So it'll be a good game.
Yeah, they had a really nice emotional reunion last year, earlier this year, and they welcomed Rick Barnes back, and it was kind of like what we heard with Steve Smith and Mitch Thompson. Same thing with Texas and Rick Barnes. Texas won the game. Tennessee, good, really good. That's one that will always, I would think. Now, it'll be interesting once, of course, they enter the Big 12, go to the SEC. That one's out.
Yeah.
And they play in the conference, and so will be interesting once the Big 12 teams leave. When they do an SEC Big 12 challenge, who will play Texas and Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'm sure there will be some lining up because, plenty of them have beaten those two.
Yeah.
And, vice versa. But, I don't think Baylor's scared of OU or Texas basketball. I know they're not. I know Kansas isn't. I know Tech isn't. I know Iowa State isn't. Nope. So they'll probably be like, can we be first to get them right now?
Yeah,
but
not insinuating that at all, but I'm glad you brought that up. It's because it'll be interesting who they would play. It's going to have to be somebody that they've known a while. because they've all been in the Big 12.
Well, I mean, it might be funny unless it's like
it could be Cincinnati
Texas and Cincinnati. Yeah.
Well, it would be great if it was Houston.
Yeah. So, all right, number 2, Kansas versus Kentucky. Look, this
Automatic.
is the tie. I do wish they would not play this game so often in the Big 12 SEC Challenge, just so that some of the other schools got to play Kentucky. Look, this is. These are 2 leagues now that are beyond the one team being good. So the classic, I know these are the classic brands of this, but I don't think we're at a point where we need to have Kansas and Kentucky all the time, although this will be a really good game between 2 really good teams next season.
Wasn't last year.
It wasn't, but I think it should be.
I think Kentucky beat the hell out of them,
didn't they? Did.
Yeah. So I think this should be really good. I think Kansas will be loaded for bear and really mad. Of course, Kentucky beat the hell out of them, and Kansas still won
the title, so who cares?
So who cares what happened then? I mean, I say who cares. I know one person who does, but she cares about every loss. But it ultimately didn't matter in the long run. But I'm curious to see, and it was in Allen Fieldhouse too, which was
last time that Baylor played Kentucky was that freeze.
Yeah,
remember?
We were trying to do a show up there.
Arlington. Baylor's won the last 2 meetings with Kentucky in 12 and 13, and lost in the final or Elite 8 in Atlanta, but. Yeah, I'd like to see them be able to play that. I'm sure other teams would like to play those teams. Yeah.
And number 1, this game is, I think, we'll have to look at the whole college basketball schedule when it's out. But this is going to be Baylor plays Gonzaga and Arkansas in non-conference next year. This will be one of the best games in the non-conference schedule, maybe in all of college basketball next year as far as matchups. Arkansas not only dominating the transfer portal, but dominating recruiting right now. Eric Musselman has got it really, really going on there. Again, back-to-back Elite Eights for the Hogs. And, of course, Baylor, a national championship a couple years ago. So this will, in a doozy of team coming in themselves, I think it's been a great game.
I've seen a lot of different basketball columnists, writers, whatever, analysts, and they really don't have Baylor much. Not too many of them have them highly ranked. Of course, Arkansas is very highly ranked. They've got it loaded, and Baylor will be. They'll be fine. 81-72 in Indianapolis, which was one of the better games that Baylor had, the tighter games Baylor played in the tournament up in Indianapolis on their way to the national title. Up by 8 at halftime and won by 9, 81-72. And all the Hogs fans were calling the Hogs well before the game, who were allowed in at the time before that game began.
I was just looking at Kansas, Kentucky. They've met half the time. This thing's been going on this will be the 10th year, I believe, coming up. And they have met, I think, 4 of the 9 times. So Kansas has played West Virginia. Kentucky has played West Virginia. They played Baylor early on, as you mentioned. I think they played Tech as well. But, yeah, it's been half the time it's been Kansas, Kentucky.
And I get it, but, the Big 12 is one of the best basketball conferences. It's not the best basketball conference. And the SEC is no slouch either. Mm-hmm. So I get Kansas, Kentucky is the top brand in each league against each other, and it's great for TV. But – I feel about that game in the Big 12 SEC Challenge kind of how I felt about the last 100 years of the Cowboys and Giants opening up against each other, and they finally stopped, that Ferris wheel.
That was a TV exec's choice, not a fan's choice necessarily. Yeah, so it has happened regularly, but
yeah. This game's only going to happen once, and it might happen in the tournament. But the Cowboys and Giants, they're going to play twice. Why do we have to have it in the first game?
Yeah, Well, Baylor, Arkansas will be awesome, like you guys said, and. The SEC's had the number the last couple of years. They've won this thing despite all the talk about the Big 12 being the best basketball conference or what have you. So Big 12 kind of needs to break a little streak of their own. But, yeah, Baylor, Arkansas will be fantastic, as will a lot of these others.
By the way, LSU's got a connection to my alma mater. Jeff Moore used to be a coach there at Tyler Junior College as their director of recruiting for Coach McMahon, who's now the head coach at LSU. Phil Mickelson putting for par on 18 to wrap up his first round at the U.S. Open at Brookline. Missed it left, so he'll shoot an 8-over 78 in his opening round. He's got a lot of work to do to get to the cut this weekend.
Hollywood Hogan looking. He's so there've been a punt, but he's so tan, and the all black and the black shades and the scruff. It's just NWO for life, brother.
I don't know if he'll meet with the media after the game is over.
I doubt it.
Well, it's you don't.
But he walked into a brick wall with it.
That's one of the most pressured, packed rounds just to get over with. Just like the press conference on Monday. Okay, we got to go. Emery Winter, thank you. Jack McKenzie, thank you. Faith Lynch, thank you. Garrett Ross, thank you. Thank you to all of our incredible sponsors as we continue to run from that first date of April the 6th, 2020 to where we are now. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, thank you to all of you in the chat room, text line. David Smoak, good night, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.